We are live. Hello everybody, you're very welcome on to tonight's stream Between the Lines. I'm your host Craig and I'm joined tonight by Connor. And Connor, we are most definitely live, buddy.
Yeah, it just popped up there, so third time lucky.
Yeah, this is our third attempt at getting this on live. This shows you how amateurish we are and how amateurish this whole operation is, Connor. The house of cards is falling down.
Speak for yourself. Professional over here, like.
Yeah, but unfortunately I was left to actually hit the right buttons tonight, so we are where we are, buddy. How are you getting on in this weather? It's us Irish people, we're not used to heat.
Oh, I'm just melting. I can't stand it. It's better than rain, though.
I see we've a couple of people joined already. Tom, Ben, the Junior and Hassan Lalu as well. Good evening everyone, you're very welcome. It's myself and Connor on tonight. We're going to have a little chat about Nabil Fekir, of course. We're going to have a chat about ALISSON. We're going to ask you if you're suffering from World Cup withdrawal. There's lots of stuff for us to get through, Connor. And look, Fekir is obviously the big story, and Fekir is what people are going to want to have a chat about. But we'll delay that a little bit just so people can come in and join the chat before we get stuck into it.
Yep.
Thomas, good evening. Hassan, how are you? Very nice to see you all again. I hope you're enjoying this warm weather, or I don't know where you are in the world, but if you're in the UK and Ireland, I hope you're enjoying this warm weather. The Junior says he's missing the World Cup already, Connor.
I'd say one day gone and I'm already bored.
Flatman's in. Good evening, Flatman. We've been absolutely spoiled, folks, haven't we? I mean, 2, 3, sometimes 4 games a day, depending on what streams you're watching. And then I wake up today, Connor, and I look at my phone and I'm like, shit, there's League of Ireland football on tonight, but that's about it.
Yeah, did you watch the game?
No, I did put a bet in it though, of course, me being me, but no, I haven't watched them.
Did you win? That's the important thing.
Well, of course not. Again, me being me, I can't even figure out the buttons to get this stream to go live, Connor. What makes you think I can put on a winning bet?
I've seen a few of your wins.
Hassan is in Philadelphia, USA, the city of brotherly love, so welcome. Plenty of love on this channel. Ben, how are you? Nice to see you again. He said he left his missus downstairs so we can come and join the stream. That's dedication, Ben. We certainly appreciate that, mate. You guys, I'm sure, have seen the links to Fekir or the stories about Fekir that have been in the news today. So, look, there's probably enough people in. We can get talking about this. Connor, what was the first thing you seen today that made you thought things might change?
On Fekir.
Oh, of course. Number one topic, my friend.
It was a Sky Sports journalist, I think he is, Jonathan Johnson, and he's also the League One correspondent for ESPN, so he probably is somewhat reliable. He said that there's still a very high chance that Nabil Fekir still moves to Liverpool. So take that what you want.
Absolutely.
What do you make of it?
There's just a few more people joining the chat here. I want to say hello to Joseph, Eugene. Welcome. Nice to see you guys on again. It's tough. The first thing I seen today actually kind of that made me think something might be up. I seen James Pearce did an interview with Red Band TV. Dave actually sent me the link to it. I gave it a watch, and I won't say he was almost backtracking on his comments where he previously said he thought that the deal was dead, but he certainly seemed a little bit more positive in the language he was using.
Yeah, I watched that earlier. He never came out and said it's dead. It's kind of like he'd be surprised, but then again, that's not ruling anything out.
Yeah, that's true. I think he basically came out and said, and I think he actually used the phrase, "You can't believe a word that comes out of Outlass's mouth."
Yeah, I think he said he just kind of likes to play games, and he was saying there was no truth to any of the rumours the day that he was doing his medical with us, as if there was no agreement in place, which there clearly was. So yeah, I wouldn't listen to anything he said.
Kevin Smith says Sky Sports are talking absolute shit. Manchester United haven't officially put a bid in, and they didn't seem interested before the World Cup. I'd agree with Kevin there. I think that this is just Outlast trying to talk up that he was speaking to Jose Mourinho, saying he had an in-depth chat with him. It makes no sense to me, kind of, that Manchester United would suddenly have an interest in Fekir.
No, I think it's just Outlast being a prick again, isn't it? Can't see Man United signing him.
Yeah, he tried the Real Madrid card first, and now he's trying to pull the Manchester. It's like he's trying to pick every club that Liverpool have had an issue with in recent times, or have a bit of a gripe with, and just like, oh, they're interested. It'll be Everton next. Watch, it'll be Everton. 75 million. Everton are willing to bid for him. They don't even care if he only has one leg. They just want him to annoy you.
Pretty much. Sure, United don't need him now. They signed Fellaini on a 2-year contract, so they're sorted.
That's it. I mean, Ballon d'Or done. Fellaini nailed on. Fellaini and Fred, Ballon d'Or contention. A few more people in the chat. Vidar, good evening. He said he skipped the party to watch the World Cup and didn't realise that there was no matches today. So he's saying regards from Norway, and thank you, mate. I hope we can cheer you up a little bit. I know there was no World Cup football today, but you know what? We'll have a bit of a laugh tonight. We'll see if we can figure out this FEKIR situation, and you know what? If we might smile, we might get some smiles through it as well. What else have we got here in the chat? Ben says Sky Sports get all their links off people on Twitter, and I actually agree with that one.
That's 100% true.
It's 100% true, 94% of the time. People say I'll believe it when it's on there, a load of shite. Junior says, or Louis saying hello to Junior. Everyone seems in a good mood tonight, Connor. People in the chat, they all seem quite positive. Look, I've said all along, I think Nabil Fekir joins Liverpool after the World Cup. That's where I stand on it, and it seems like Mr. Johnny Cuntilocks is trying everything he can to drum up interest, talking about £70 million price tags, and look, it's not true. If anything, going by what James Pearce was saying in that Redman TV interview, well, and I must say congratulations to the guys at Redman, it was a really good interview. He seemed to think that Liverpool are going to want to get him for less than we agreed originally, not the 70 million Outlast was talking about.
Yeah, I think that quote from Jonathan Johnson was from a Sky Sports podcast, and I think I seen someone said, he mentioned the fact that Fekir hasn't played awfully well at the World Cup, so his price won't go up, which probably will play into our hands if we do go in with a lower offer. Because I think Leon were probably hoping they'd spark a bidding war if he played half decently at all. So I think it's looking good, I think, for us, if we do go back in for him.
And you know what, like realistically, he could be on his way home in the next day or two. I mean, France-Argentina, it's not a straightforward game.
No, he could be heading home tomorrow. Could get very interesting very quickly.
Yeah, do you know what, guys? It's been a really interesting window, and it's just going to get, as I said all along, Connor, when this World Cup is over, there's about 3 weeks between the end of the World Cup and the transfer window for the Premier League clubs closing. It's going to be absolute mayhem, because if you think about it, it's going to be the big dogs, and by that I mean the Liverpool, Chelsea, Manchester United, Manchester City's, Arsenal, Spurs. They're going to be taking the cream off the top, if you get where I'm coming from. And then it's the players underneath that, the level of player that maybe Everton are waiting to see if a bigger club goes in for. Maybe, I won't say Swansea, but Southampton, clubs like that, they're going to have to wait to see what the bigger clubs do before they can perhaps go and do some of their business. Yeah,
it's going to be crazy, isn't it? I'd say there'll be a lot of signings done on the deadline day this year.
Oh, Jim White there'll be yellow ties all over the shop.
It's been a bit dull the last few years, hasn't it?
And in answer to one of your questions, Connor, I actually did win a bet tonight. I just checked. Go team, awesome. Yeah, I stuck a tenner on, I pulled back 121.25. Not too shabby. The Milky Bars are on me. Just reading through a few more of the comments, and I don't know, Connor, I'm in a great mood today, and I don't know why, considering what my missus made me do earlier on, and that probably comes across in the stream completely wrong, by the way. Apologies.
Whatever you're thinking it is 10 times worse.
Yeah, it is from my bank balance, just put it that way. Louis says if Fekir wants to leave, then there's nothing else can do about it. Kevin says I never believe anything Sky Sports have to say about transfers and rumours. We will get the care of a much believer. Thomas Boland says I see United moving forward, resigning Captain Pubes. I don't get it. I just don't. I mean, that must be massively disheartening for Manchester United fans.
Yeah, it's just all been a complete meltdown. It's brilliant to see.
It's madness.
Every minute of it.
It's absolute madness. I mean, pinning, like, I don't even know what he does. I really don't know what he does. He is a very Jose Mourinho type player, though. I will say that for him.
He pretty much sums up his style of play, doesn't he?
The Junior says I heard someone say that Moses Simon is happening next week. I don't know how true that is. Again, somebody who seems to have gone a little bit quiet on Connor. We haven't really heard much about Moses Simon since the links broke originally.
Yeah, I haven't seen a single thing since then. Have you?
No, not really. I've done a little bit of research, and I've listened to other people who've researched them a little bit, and that's about it. The links haven't seemed to get any stronger, but as the Junior says, things might start happening now. What I do feel, though, is, again, we seem to be mentioning all other LFC content providers, but you know what, you got to pay them homage because a lot of them do great work. And I was listening to the Anfield Rap, and they did a special on Jared and Shaqiri. So for them they spoke to Stefan Honcho, they spoke to somebody that does football statistics for, I think, one of the manager games or one of those type of games, and they spoke to an agent as well, I think, and for them to go through that much trouble to talk about Shaqiri, they must think that that's a very close deal as well.
Yeah, I seen something yesterday about Shaqiri that it's due to be announced after the World Cup. I can't remember who said it though.
It seems to me that I thought Shaqiri had gone quiet, but yesterday I think maybe Dave started saying to me things are picking up a little bit. And guys, it does seem, as I said, the Anfield Rap wouldn't have gone through this much trouble. And look, we know they're not spoofers. They're a great bunch of lads, put out great content. And for them to have gone out of their way, Connor, to do as much as they've done for that special, they must be pretty confident.
Yeah, I'd say they must have heard something. It seems an awful lot just for a random rumour. They wouldn't be going into that much detail.
Yeah, they don't tend to do it. I mean, sometimes maybe like for Moses Simon or something, they may bring one person on. They may just, do a little chat about what he's done in his career so far or something. But this was very in-depth, very well put together, and it made me think that's a signing we're probably going to see. And I've said all along, Connor, I think if we sign Shaqiri, we sign FEKIR.
Yeah, you've said that a few times. I still don't see the link there though.
I just think that he's the luxury player. I mean, he's by no means, I think, he's a replacement for Nabil Fekir. I just think that he's the insurance policy, if you get me, to an extent. So you sign in Nabil Fekir and you're still short in the front three if any of those guys pull up. So I just think Shaqiri is your insurance policy to an extent. And I think if that £12.5 million release clause wasn't there or Stoke didn't go down, I'd be very confident in saying we wouldn't be even looking at Shaqiri.
Yeah, but I don't see it linked specifically to Fekir. Like, if we went out and signed Forsberg or splashed 200 million on Asensio, I'd still think we get Shaqiri as well.
I suppose it depends on the style of footballer. If we're going to bring in that number 10, then yes, I get where you're coming from. But if we're going to now, for instance, say we can't get Fekir, or the deal's not just workable, and we've said we're going to really look at how we do this, and we're going to bring in another wide forward, and maybe look at bringing Mane or somebody a little bit deeper, then you're kind of changing how you're approaching the window to an extent, and then maybe Shaqiri is one body too many for that front three.
Yeah, possibly.
I probably overcomplicated that dramatically, but that's how my little brain works. So
yeah, I don't think anyone's going to understand your brain anytime soon.
No, sure, look, the people on here know I can't even remember a footballer's name most of the time. I mean, the amount of times that Skipper Dog and the guys on here, Flatman, have saved my ass when it comes to trying to name footballers. You guys know I forget the name every 2 minutes. Neil Anthony says, the so-called Liverpool journalists who say the deal is dead, surely that's what the club tell them so they don't fall into Leon's games. The last thing the club would do is tell the journals, etc. And look, if we're all being honest with ourselves, I don't doubt the integrity of the journalists that work the Liverpool beat. I don't for 1 minute, but it is certain, Connor, that football clubs do sometimes use the media to put out stories that aren't necessarily true.
Yeah, no doubt. On the podcast last night, I think was it Chris said something about that. I think he said about how Liverpool have always been kind of shrewd and clever in transfer negotiations. So I don't see why it should be any different now. I'd say there's more to this than we know, and like you said, they could be feeding out false information to, I suppose, not fall into Leon's game, like the comment said.
From reading into what James Pearce was saying earlier on, it just seems as if Liverpool are trying to renegotiate this, and that's the only thing standing in the way, because he compared it to what happened with Loic Remy a few years back. He said Loic Remy happened when the club were over at Boston, so they flew Loic Remy over. They were briefed that everything was going ahead as normal. The announcement would be coming soon. Then he went and had the medical. Obviously, the issue with his heart showed up in the medical. They were still briefed. Yeah, it looks like everything's going to go ahead. It was delayed a little bit. And then the club just went really, really silent. And obviously, we've seen Loic Remy then went and signed for Chelsea a few months later. But it's very similar. It's very similar what's happened here.
Yeah, because the club actually never confirmed that they weren't signing Remy at that point, did they?
I think
went cold blank and that was it.
Yeah, I think when it comes, again James Pearce may have mentioned this, and it's a very fair point. When it comes to stuff like that, when it comes to details about either Fekir's knee or Loic Remy's heart condition, you're breaking client confidentiality there, because this is their medical records. This is private stuff. Your doctor can't give this information out. So there would certainly be privacy clauses and contracts and stuff that the club could in no way. Because the club are devaluing the player then for the club and somebody else. It's up to each individual club to have their medical staff look through a player's history, test the player, and interpret the results as they may. But we've seen before some clubs, like Chelsea, had no problem signing Loic Remy. So obviously, whatever way their medical team looked at it or looked at the risk, they seem to think it was fine.
Yeah, it didn't work out too well in the end, though.
It didn't, but look, it was an either or for us. It was him or fucking Balotelli, and it wasn't. It was Sophie's choice, wasn't it? It wasn't really.
Yeah, neither of them very good.
Ben says, I think I was more happy not signing Pubehead than I was signing for Bito. The White Warrior says, Fulhaney would be great at WWF, not football. And you know what, White Warrior? You get extra points for saying WWF. Because you're showing your age there, buddy. You're showing you're my generation, if not older. Because I couldn't understand when WWF suddenly became WWE because the World Wildlife Fund held the website WWF.com.
Is that why?
Yeah, that's why they changed the name to WWE, because WWF was already held by the World Wildlife Fund.
That's amazing.
There's your fact of the day. There you go.
Oh, I remember that one.
Craig's useless brain. Can't remember a footballer's name who he was reading about an hour ago.
But you can remember that.
I remember some stupid thing about the World Wildlife Federation or whatever the fuck their foundation, whatever they're called. Okay, the Jewy, Connor, I'm going to let you answer this. The Jewy says, very high chance, says who?
Jonathan Johnson from Sky Sports on ESPN. He's a League One correspondent for ESPN, I think, and he's just like a French football expert in inverted commas. I don't really believe all this expert stuff, but yeah, he seems to know stuff, and he still thinks it might happen.
Can we be experts?
No, we're no experts.
Yeah, but can we be on something? Like, it doesn't have to be on football. Can we be experts on anything? I mean, could I be a bullshitologist
sure.
or something?
Yeah, I'm sure you probably could.
I feel like I need some
PhD
letters after my
bullshitology.
name or something, yeah. I just feel like I need something. I need something to boost my status in society.
With Craig Holden, CUNT.
Yeah, there you go. That's a fact. Johnny says Asensio will be a better signing than Fekir. That's an interesting conversation to have, actually. I mean, I can understand his point. He's younger, obviously healthier by the looks of things, maybe fitter, and certainly probably has a very high ceiling as well, Connor. So I suppose maybe there you look at the price differential and what we're being quoted, or what the rumours that's going around, the amount that we'd be willing to bid for Asensio, and apparently that bid was going to be rejected.
Yeah, I think if we took away the financial factor of it, like, I definitely say Asensio. But like, I don't think he's 100 or 150 million pounds better than Fekir, if you put it that way.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking 3 Fekirs there,
Yeah,
and
like,
a little
if
bit of
you just
change.
put 2 players there and said take one, I'd take Asensio every day of the week, but like, not for that money.
Johnny, what if I said to you, mate, you can have Asensio, or we can go out and get Shaqiri, Fekir and Oblak for the same type of money? Would you still be thinking that Asensio's the way forward? Or are you like me sometimes, Johnny? Do you think, fuck the money, it's all about just getting the right player? I mean, as fans, we just want the best 11 out on the field. So if we can afford Asensio, then you know, that's not our problem. The money men say we can do it, then we should go and do it. What do you think, Connor?
Yeah, I kind of agree with you to an extent. I don't care about how much money is actually spent. It's more, if we sign Asensio, we can't sign whoever. That kind of way. If it affects it that way, then you have to look at it. But like, say with Van Dijk spending 75 million, that doesn't bother me at all, because that's who Klopp wanted and that was his main target. It wasn't like, if we sign Van Dijk, we can't sign whoever else. It was nothing that way.
If you look at Van Dijk, we look back at Van Dijk now, nobody cares about the fee, do they? To be fair, we just know we're after getting quality.
Yeah, it just makes us look like we're ballertry, isn't it?
It's true.
No one gives a shit. There's no negative about it anymore.
Leighton Long says, hi lads, good evening Leighton, thanks for joining in. Louis says, we're not going to get Asensio anyway. Skipperdog says, was it not that they found cocaine in Remy's blood? I think the official...
That was Maradona, I think.
It was, allegedly. I think the official line Skipperdog made was that he had a heart condition, but apparently that heart condition was acceptable for Chelsea to go ahead and sign him. But, you know, we don't know these things, buddy. We're on the outside, but... I tell you what, Skipperdog, if I ever need a question answer on Connor or a player I'm forgetting, he has bailed me out more times than I care to remember. So thank you, mate. It always means a lot when you stop me looking like a fool. Kevin Smith says, Liverpool Football Club keeping quiet about this whole 4K stuff that goes to show Liverpool Football Club. I'm not stupid to play games. That's gone over my head, Connor.
Yeah, what's 4K?
I'm not sure. That has gone over my head now, I have to say. Okay, Thomas has raised the point that we were kind of trying to hold off for a little bit later on, but he said, I see Chelsea could be stealing a march on ALISSON, and Delcroft says, good evening lads. Right, regarding ALISSON, let me just pull up a few things from my phone that I did take some screenshots to have a chat to you guys about. So ALISSON. Right, so this apparently, you know Betway, the betting company, they have a guy called Alan Alger, and he said Thibaut Courtois is odds on to move to Real Madrid this summer at 4-5. So the Blues could well be in the hunt for a new keeper, and Brazilians number one ALISSON looks to be their number one target. Chelsea are the 6-5 favourites to sign ALISSON this summer, ahead of his current employers Roma at 9-4. Madrid and Liverpool are both in the market for a new keeper, with serious question marks at the current number ones, and they come in at 5-2 and 13-2 respectively. So they're putting Real Madrid to sign ALISSON, Connor, way out at 13-2.
Yeah, I don't really trust the fact that this guy work for
sorry, they're putting Liverpool out with 13-2 and Real Madrid at 5-2. Apologies, I got that backwards.
Oh, this guy works for Betway, you said, does he?
He does. I think, you know the way sometimes Betway bring in guest contributors to write articles and stuff on their sites. I think maybe one of the guys from, I think maybe John Gibbons or something might do it for Paddy Power, and a couple of the guys do it for the betting sites. They just come in and write a brief synopsis of situations or players for them.
I'd be very skeptical of stuff like that. Like, they could literally have this guy in saying this, so people think, oh, he's going to Chelsea, I'll stick €100 on that then, and then that's it. He doesn't move there. Like, has there been any other reputable links?
Not that I've seen. I mean, I did see Chelsea linked before, but I don't know if it was just people putting two and two together. Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of like, oh, Courtois leaves, that'll free up whoever. It's kind of like dominoes, like, but it's not necessarily going to happen.
There's another part of this whole goalkeeper, I suppose, what do we call it? Not roundabout, but kind of, what's the word I'm looking for here? Carousel. There's another part of this whole goalkeeper carousel that I want to have a chat about, but before I do, I see a lot of people are recognising the chat tonight, and it's always brilliant to have you guys in. Thank you. If you're new to the chat, if you're enjoying what we're doing here in the Anfield Agenda, if you're enjoying the stream, please take a moment to give us a follow, to subscribe to the channel, to give us a thumbs up, help us grow the channel, help us meet other Reds, and let them know about Anfield Agenda. Connor, you have something you want to have a little chat about later on tonight in regards to a suggestion that one of the listeners or one of the viewers put in the other night about Patreon.
Yeah.
So we will
now or wait later.
No, we'll wait till later on, because we're stuck in a goalkeeper conversation at the minute, and I just wanted to say that Barcelona seem to have named their price for Silasson as well, which is another goalkeeper that Liverpool have been loosely linked to signing. Reports suggest that Barcelona will accept bids of around £25 million for Jasper Silasson. I think it's Summer Sport. I think might be, or is it Sport? I don't know. They just say Sport. That's what they're calling the people behind the article. So they say the Spanish outlet revealed today that Silasson has decided to leave the club in search of more playing time and will hold talks with Barca officials. The Catalan Giants are keen to keep hold of the 29-year-old due to his reliability and good relationship with first choice Marc-Andre ter Stegen. Coaches of the club believe the Dutchman has played a part in ter Stegen's improvement. Barca do, however, respect Silasson's desire to want to play regular football, and that no side would be realistically willing to spend the 55 million quid that triggers his automatic release clause. So 25 million quid, apparently, folks, is what it would take to sign Jasper Silasson. Connor, what's your thoughts on Silasson? Now, he's 29 years of age, so he's probably in his prime for a goalkeeper.
Yeah, I haven't seen an awful lot of him, but yeah, he seems to be kind of just that solid goalkeeper, not like world class, but good. And what's that, 25 million wouldn't be too bad at that.
No, I mean, 25 million wouldn't make my head fall off. If we're going into the next season, then it would be... We'd almost be back to where we were maybe 4 or 5 months ago, where we were thinking bring a keeper in around that level to be challenging Karius for the number one spot.
Yeah, he's kind of in around the same level. He's not like a massive step up or down, I suppose.
No, it's almost like having two number 1.5s.
Yeah, it's a good way of putting it, actually.
Yeah, they'd be challenging. Like there wouldn't be much between them. I think that would be a fair shout. I just think if we go and end up on August the 11th or August the 14th, whenever the season starts, and Karius is between the sticks, I honestly think some people's heads will just fall off.
It's really hard to know, isn't it? The whole goalkeeper situation is going to divide so many opinions regardless of what happens, I think.
You can understand why Klopp might want to rehabilitate the situation and give Karius another chance. You can understand why he'd back Karius.
Yeah, he doesn't tend to throw players under the bus, does he? So like, I wouldn't be at all surprised if Karius is our number one next season.
My biggest worry about this, though, guys, is that I feel Jurgen Klopp may have thought that he'd seen the worst of Liverpool support, with some people leaving the stadium early, and sometimes he's asked for the atmosphere to be raised up a level or two. But I think he may be misreading quite how deep people's emotions are around this Karius issue, Connor.
Like, are they really, or is it just like people overreacting on Twitter? Because it is crazy how different like the LFC Twitter world is to just normal fans at games now.
Again,
it's very hard to gauge what people.
I'm going from conversations and interviews and stuff I've heard with match-going Reds, who would be very, very highly regarded in LFC circles, and I don't want to start naming names again, but these are people who go to the match every single week, people whose opinions I hold quite highly and in high regard, and they seem to think that the main stand, the cop, there's huge sections of the support that would literally wouldn't give him a chance at all. They wouldn't clap him when he comes down to the end. They just would, their heads, as I said, would just clean fall off if he was in goal.
Yeah, maybe Klopp is underrating it then.
Honestly, where are your feelings on it? If he was to start in goal, the first game of the season, how do you feel?
Everyone's going to hate me for saying this, but I actually wouldn't mind that. I think he still can turn out good. I think if anyone is going to make him into a good player, it will be Klopp.
Is there?
But then again, like I do want us to go out and sign a keeper, but I wouldn't be losing my head if we don't that way. But yeah, we need to bring in someone to replace Mignolet either way, so we probably will see someone come in.
If we were to go out, say, and we sign Nabil FEKIR, we sign Gerald and Shaqiri, we sign, just say, Lascelles as an example, we bring in maybe another young guy somewhere in the team. Possibly, well, we're going to have to bring in some type of keeper, I think it's fair to say, because Mignolet has thrown his toys out of the pram today and demanded showdown talks with the club, so we're going to have to bring in some type of a keeper at some stage. So would you be fine if the goalkeeper position was the only one of the 3 or 4 that we're talking about needing filling that didn't get done, and, as you say, Klopp rolls the dice and gives Karius another chance? Because, I mean, worst case scenario, there's always January, I suppose.
Yeah, you don't tend to get great players in January though, other than Van Dijk, I suppose. And actually, I'm chatting shit with Suarez
and Coutinho and Sturridge and
yeah, never mind that. I didn't say that.
Say what?
Exactly, yeah.
There you go. Nothing was said here.
What are we even talking about? Goalkeepers, is it?
Johnny O'Donnell says, how much do AC Milan want for Gianluigi Donnarumma? I'd imagine, I'd guess, Johnny, just gone by the figures that have been bandied around. Connor, would you think 35 to 40 million pound would be reasonable?
I'd say at least that, yeah. But like, he could force his way out of that club easily now with the ban from the UEFA competitions. So it'd be very easy for him to get out of that club now if he did start throwing a fuss.
Joseph says his price should be dropping, not going up. That's bull. I'm gathering, Joseph, mate, that comment is in relation to FEKIR. Would I be correct there, do you think, Connor? Or?
Yeah, I'd assume so.
And if, again, Joseph, if that's what it is about, then I think the club see it similarly to you, that the club are trying to not renegotiate downwards, and the talk of 70 million quid is absolute nonsense. I think the figure that I seen mentioned around everywhere, Connor, was £44.6 million with, I think, 4 million and change in add-ons.
Yeah, it's about 48 altogether, I think. Which would make, that'd be right.
Which, being honest, that does seem like, okay, whatever happens between here and there, if we just work off that figure, it seems like a very decent amount for Nabil FEKIR. It seems like a fair deal, before, obviously, the medical side. Yeah,
because I think we were quoted at around 60 before that. So to bring it back down to 44 or 48 was very good business already. And if we could get down even lower with this injury stuff, it could be very, very cheap in today's market.
The White Warrior says Cillessen is better and won't make mistakes like Karius, Craig. And again, mate, I think I've said a couple of times on the stream, I regarded Cillessen quite highly when he was at Ajax, but it's always tough to judge a goalkeeper in the Dutch league, and we haven't really had much of an opportunity to see him at Barcelona. But look, I would have no doubt that Cillessen is certainly a 7 out of 10 goalkeeper, and I'd rather start the season myself with Cillessen in goal than Karius, especially at the 25 million quid being quoted, Connor. So, I'm not disagreeing with what White Warrior has to say there, and I think 25 million quid is a very realistic amount.
Yeah, it will be a good fee, and like I said, if Cillessen is a player at Barcelona who they don't really want to lose, then he must be good. If a club as big as Barcelona don't want to lose him, if you think of it that way.
Thomas Boland says, the question is Cillessen a step forward or backwards in the goalie situation? we can only judge this, guys, I suppose, on our own opinions, and the one that matters is clearly Jurgen Klopp. But I would say a step forward, mainly because of experience at this point, Connor. I think Silasson, through his time at Barcelona, through his time with the Dutch national team, and through his time, I suppose, being in and around Barcelona, because he does play, doesn't he play the cup games for Barcelona?
Yeah, I think so.
I would say that, yes, he may make a mistake, most goalkeepers do, but I would say he would certainly feel steadier and safer in his own skin than Karius does at this time.
Yeah, he's just kind of more. He's like Karius, step like more consistent, I suppose.
I think, and like those extra 5 years as well. Because Karius seems to have had a pretty stop-start career, to be fair. I mean, he was at Manchester City, that didn't work out for him. He moved to Germany, then he was doing very well in Germany, then he signs for Liverpool, gets introduced, gets taken out, gets introduced again, and then makes, what happened, and we are where we are. Whereas Silasson seems to have had a pretty steady rise throughout his career, but he just hasn't been able to get past Andre Ter Stegen at Barcelona, and that's understandable.
Yeah, it's like, if Karius was more consistent, I'd have absolutely no problem with him being there. Like, I think on his day, he's as good as any other goalkeeper, really, other than, like, the top 2 or 3, maybe. But yeah, he's a very good goalkeeper when he's actually not messing up, pretty much.
The Bad Elf said, Anfield HQ tweeted that Ward could be number 2 next season, which would likely make Karius number 1. I'll bite my tongue on this. I'll bite my tongue in my views of anything that they tweet. I think you can read into that what you want to read into it, but yeah, I think Danny Ward moves on as well, but I also think Danny Ward is a pretty decent goalkeeper, but Danny Ward and Karius as our 1 and 2, that's dangerous territory for me.
Yeah, it's a bit light, isn't it?
Especially since Klopp has never, ever, ever, ever shown any interest in Danny Ward.
Yeah, that's really confused me. Like, he looked so good at Aberdeen and then at Huddersfield. Then he got brought back from loan and just left there to rot away. He'd never given the chance. Like, what must he be doing in training to be not given any chance after being good at those 2 clubs?
And he is the very same age to the day that Karius is, so he's not even like he's a younger keeper.
Yeah, this makes no sense to me. Like, he must just be awful in training or something.
I honestly, obviously we don't know, but he seems like a guy who wants to progress in his career. He seems like a guy that's realistic about where he is, and whatever club sees him, he just doesn't seem to fancy him, Connor.
Yeah, it's just bizarre, I think.
The White Warrior said, if Courtois has gone to Real Madrid, and by the way, I think this pretty much backs me up as to what I've been saying all along about Courtois, Connor. I've been very consistent in saying that all the information that I have heard or have been given suggests that he always wanted to go back to Madrid. Yeah,
his family lives over there, so don't they?
Yeah, he's got a young child over there. I'm not sure if his partner lives there or it's the child's mother as well, but what the White Warrior is saying is we should go and get Keylor Navas, and I think Keylor Navas is a damn fine keeper, I have to say.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with him. He's, again, just a solid goalkeeper, but he's not really that world-class step up again. He's just kind of a small step up, I suppose. A step up nonetheless.
Yeah, see, this is where I get confused, guys. So if we're talking about Silasson being maybe an extra point or 2 ahead of Karius, if we're talking about Keylor Navas being a couple of points better than Karius as well, then do we start thinking about the money? I find myself struggling with how we balance this out, Connor, because are we saying that it's okay to get a keeper who's a little bit better if he's only 25 million, but it's much better to get a keeper who's maybe a little bit better than that at 3 times the price?
Yeah, it's like I've said, like Alisson, I don't think he's worth anywhere near the 70 or 80 million. But like a keeper like De Gea probably is. Like, he'd want a very big step up for that kind of money. But yeah, like I said, just a small bit better for 20 or 30 million wouldn't be the end of the world.
Vidar says, Karius, really? Are people that unforgiving? I'd take Oblak any day, but not for that amount. Alisson is not world class at all. He's a klutz in the area. We have Keita, Hendo and Fabinho. We won't need it. And look, I mean, there is a point in saying, kind of, how important really is a goalkeeper. I mean, allowing for 2, 3, 4 mistakes a season, a lot of it has to do with what's in and around him, the defence, the players ahead of him, as Vidar is suggesting there. And really, are we going to get a goalkeeper this summer who will become our David De Gea? Is it possible? Do you think it's going to be done, or are we looking? And me in particular, I'm pointing the finger at myself here because I've pinned my whole hopes for this transfer window on a goalkeeper. Am I looking too deep into it, Connor? Am I expecting too much?
I think you might be, because it's kind of hard to know though. Like I said, could we find the next David De Gea? Again, on the podcast last night, one of the lads said something about like players don't just become David De Gea. It's like they have to be kind of found. Like even like you said, Pepe Reina. I think Chris said he'd never heard of him before he came to Liverpool, and he was brilliant. So maybe this like Strakosha fella we're looking at, we could bring him in. He could be the next De Gea for all we know.
Well,
like,
speaking
you just
about
don't know one to be by player, like
the next big thing as a goalkeeper, Lubac suggests that why don't we take a punt on Lafont, 19-year-old, might be fearless with nothing to lose. And again, based on my memory, I believe that's the Toulouse goalkeeper. And I think I mentioned a few months back that he was somebody that Roma looked at to replace ALISSON. Now, obviously Roma have brought in another keeper, so I don't know if that would end their possible interest in Lafont. But what I'd say again is, yes, Donnarumma is in around the same age. Would we be happy to bring in a goalkeeper like that, Connor, 19 years of age, as our first choice that nobody has really seen or heard?
I'd say if we brought in Donnarumma, people wouldn't mind. But if it was Lafont, I'd say they would. It's because Donnarumma is kind of seen as this, like, nearly like a prodigy, really, isn't he?
A freak.
Yeah, just like an absolute, like a dead start to become a really good goalkeeper someday. But with Lafont, it's kind of just like a young keeper who's up and coming. It's not the same kind of standard.
It's really tough to know. This goalkeeper situation is so hard because you can look at players like FEKIR, or you can look at like Mane, for instance, and Klopp can see straight away what Mane can do in the system, what way he can use Mane, and how he can improve Mane. It's almost impossible to look at a goalkeeper and predict his development.
Yeah, it's kind of just put him in and hope for the best. It
really is. I mean, I think we can't underestimate, and we've had conversations about the goalkeeper coach before here, and we've all said that we don't rate John Achterberg that highly, but if you bring in a new goalkeeper now, I can't underestimate how important the working relationship is between a goalkeeper and his goalkeeping coach.
Yeah, sure. Like, in theory, it should be the same as like Klopp with Salah, say, the way he just changed his position on the pitch slightly and he became much better. Like, if we had a goalkeeper coach capable of doing something like that with our goalkeepers and just giving it that one little tip that'll pump to the next level.
I mean, your goalkeeping coach as a goalkeeper, he's more than a coach. He has to be a mentor. He has to be a psychologist. He has to be a friend. He has to be a leader. I mean, it's such an important job. So it's only natural that sometimes people won't gel. People just won't get on. Like, I mean, they can be professional and they can go about their job, but we've seen the massive decline in Pepe Reina once Xavi Valero left.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's just, like you said, they mightn't get on too well and it might affect their performances. I just find it really strange that all the managers have rated John Achterberg. Like, none of them have ever said he wasn't doing his job right. Everyone's kind of singing his praises still. Even though from a fan's point of view, we must think he's awful, like.
Yeah, as you said, Kenny Dalglish, Brendan Rodgers, Jurgen Klopp. I'm not talking about the emu, I refuse to mention him. They've all spoken very highly of John Achterberg. Now, what Thomas has said is, we're all judging Karius on 2 mistakes in a high-profile game. If the mistakes were against, say, Watford, would we all be as vocal? And it's a fair point, Thomas, but I would say that there was signs that these mistakes may have been coming, and I always will point to the Roma game, Connor, the away leg, where he got very lucky with a shot from Kolarov.
Yeah, I remember that one. I think people are quick to forget as well, though, that Karius was concussed in the final. Like, we really don't know how much that actually affected him.
We don't.
Like, was it purely because of that?
It's a very fair point. We don't. It's easy for people to say it's the reason why he did it, and it's easy for people to say bullshit, no, nonsense. But the truth is, it's something that will never be known. What we do know is, and what is a fact, and I'm kind of going against what I want here, but what we do know is we did see an improvement in Loris Karius from, say, Christmas forward. I think we can all admit that much, Connor.
He came on leaps and bounds, yeah. That's why I think we should give him another chance. I think
And
if he had another year just to get a bit more confident in the league and just develop himself, I think he could be brilliant. So
and Thomas does make a good point, but what I'll also say, Thomas, is this: it's not just the fans who might be annoyed because of the game it was. I mean, we have to think about, and Jurgen Klopp would have to think about, the next time Liverpool reach, may it be the last 2 games of a season where we're challenging for the league title, or another Champions League final, an FA Cup final. Will that moment swallow up Loris Karius again, like this moment had? And as Connor said, it might not be. It may purely have been because of the concussion. But it's always going to be a doubt in our minds as fans. And you can imagine that would just be intensified by the players, Connor.
yeah, it's just like it could come back to haunt him that way. It could play on his head, on his mind, come up to these games, and he could crack under the pressure again. Even if it wasn't the pressure got him this time, just because this happened, it may affect him next time. Yeah.
Well, what we've seen is, right, so say for instance, his confidence was shot after the first mistake. And that's probably what led to the second one. I think a lot of people were of that mindset before the concussion became common knowledge. A lot of us thought that if he didn't make the first mistake, he doesn't make the second mistake, because he may have been overthinking things and trying to be too safe.
Yeah, his head was just gone at that point. He was probably nervous wreck after the first one.
And that's my fear.
That.
That's my fear for him coming back in, that he may try and be too safe. And at times you need to be that cheeky kind of goalkeeper who does try and chip one over the forward who's trying to press you, or you take a step to the right, or you palm a shot that you should have perhaps caught. But these are things that, like, goalkeeper's confidence is everything. It's probably 70% of your game.
Yeah, it's all his confidence, really. Like, you even see Neuer in his peak, like, just running out with the ball.
Midfield Neuer, or...
He played well up front the other day, though, didn't he?
I mean, that was ridiculous. Kira's in the chat. Hi, Kira. Nice to see you. Louis says, I just want Bogdan gone. And I don't think that's too much for anybody to ask, Connor.
I think he is gone, is he?
He is gone. I think his contract is up on Sunday. I think July the 1st. Sorry, his contract could be up. A big fuck off. We've already given him enough money. He should be throwing us a party.
Celebrating that he's gone.
Well, he should be throwing us a party with the wages he's been taken. Lubac says, I know, we'd love to know what wages he was on. I imagine 30 or 40 grand a week.
30 or 40, yeah. It's insane.
Lubac says, Cillison is better than Karius, but not in the world's top 10 to 15 keepers. Chris Carlson says, Ward can't beat out the other two, not a good sign. White Warrior says, Klopp is a German and Karius is German, that's why the lad's number 1. And then Johnny O'Donnell goes back to something we spoke about a couple of nights ago, to Son Heung-min, and that he'd be a great addition, and he really would. And we have to be respectful. He's a Spurs player, but he is a very, very good footballer.
Yeah, I'd just be very interested to see what's happening with him. Is he supposed to be serving in the Korean army soon?
Yeah, I think the rule is that I think all South Korean men have to serve in the army for 2 years before their 28th birthday. I think that's the rule, but there was talk of a possible exception depending on how well they did at the World Cup.
Yeah, I was actually reading up on this. They stopped doing it for the World Cup because of something that happened a few years ago. And I think it's the Asian Games coming up in August. Something like that, I think. And basically, if South Korea don't win that, he has to serve it. There will be no exception.
That's massive pressure.
So he's basically playing, it could be literally life or death for him. Like,
that is massive pressure, isn't it?
Like, just think about that, like. And like people saying, oh, he'll probably get pardoned or get an exception. I think is it K-pop to have over there, like all the singers and all.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
It's like they're all glorified and they weren't exempt. They still had to go do it.
So your man that made that stupid song, what was it? Gangnam Style. You're telling me that pudgy little fucker served in the army.
Well, have you heard of him in the last few years?
I want to see his army photos. I want to see them. I will pay good money to see those pictures.
Like none of them got exempt, so I don't see why it'd be different for him. So it is a massive risk, like. If we do sign him.
Joseph says that Lafont would be better than Karius, worth taking a punt on him. Munayin says if Liverpool don't sign a goalkeeper, Jurgen Klopp will receive criticism from every error Karius makes.
Yeah, but if Karius stays then becomes good, then no one will say anything. But it was actually Klopp's genius in keeping him there, wasn't it?
It would.
Either way.
I think it could be Klopp's biggest gamble so far during his reign as Liverpool manager if he decides to stick by Karius.
Yeah, he hasn't really made too big a gamble up till now, has he?
Now, Klopp does
Quite right.
certainly have a lot of goodwill and credit in the bank with the fans.
Yeah, I don't think people are going to turn on him and want him out just because Kerry starts or anything like.
No, but as the guy suggested there, every little thing, every kick that goes into touch, or every parry that, you know, looks a bit awkward, it will be met with moans and groans, and it will be like people are just waiting to pounce.
Yeah, there'll be a few obviously, but I don't think like no one's going to really turn on him because of this.
Damo says, and I love this point by the way, Rene Higuita, the former Colombian keeper, still looks in good nick. Or was that the line from the Wizard of Oz who was sitting beside him, Valderrama? Did you see the arm candy that Valderrama had beside him, by the way?
No.
Oh yeah, I think she looked in her maybe mid-20s. And obviously Carlos Valderrama is a legend of Colombian football. But how great was it to see him and Rene Higuita? Now they're probably before your time, Connor.
Yeah, I've heard of Valderrama. I'm not sure who the other guy is.
Do you remember the scorpion kick? The goalkeeper kick? That's Rene Higuita.
Oh, that's him. Yeah, I've seen the clips of him.
Two absolute lunatics, but two legends, two absolute legends of Colombian football. So it was great to see them at the World Cup. And as the lad said,
Valderrama has the big mad afro kind of thing, doesn't he?
Big blonde afro,
hair.
Yeah. It looked like the lads from LMFAO sitting in there in football shirts. CJB Broken says, think of the abuse Karius will get when he makes the next big mistake if we stick with him. Klopp will also have to be questioned if we don't win anything next season and he sticks with Karius. On the point he's raised there about Klopp not winning anything next season, do you think a trophy is vitally important, guys? I'm going to come to Connor on this as well, but I'd like to know in the comments your thoughts on this. Is it getting to the point where we have to win a trophy, or would it be okay if we have another good run in maybe a domestic cup or two and we really challenge Manchester City for that league title? Where do you stand, Connor?
It's hard to know, like, 'cause we all want to win trophies, obviously, but like, if we get to go really close in the Champions League again, would you rather that or win the League Cup? Like
Champions League,
or even at Arsenal with the League Cup, like
Champions League. I mean, I still talk about 13-14, a heartbreak City and all, but that gave me, like this Champions League run this year gave us, some of the best moments and some of the best memories I've had supporting Liverpool.
Yeah, that's exactly what I've been thinking. Like, I got asked by someone like a few weeks ago, would you rather win the League Cup or lose in the final of the Champions League? And I said Champions League without doubt, because you go win the League Cup, you won the trophy no one really cares about, and you bet probably Blackpool and fucking Swansea along the way. Like, I'll always remember that day sitting on the cop watching the Roma game, the City game, like all those brilliant memories. Like, I wouldn't swap them for a fucking League Cup win.
No, and we spoke about this. I mean, we travelled over together to a couple of games, a couple of screenings at Anfield during the Champions League, and just the moments on that run, I suppose it really, like, I mean, we were taking it for granted that we were putting away teams, putting 7 past Spartak Moscow and putting 7 past Maribor. Like, I mean, that was just, we were taking that for granted.
Yeah, that's it. Like we wouldn't be going over to, like, with that kind of memories if we're just going over to watch us play Swansea in the Capital or the Carabao Cup semi-final or something like.
Think about how it went from there. We went and we beat Porto 5-0 away from home. Like a Porto team that don't really lose at home in European competitions. We went and spanked them 5-0. Then from there we went and we were drawn against Manchester City. Everybody thought we hadn't got a hope, and Jurgen Klopp and those players put on 2 performances. And Connor, you called this. I called you an absolute madman when you told me that Liverpool were going to win both legs of that semi-final, or that quarter-final, excuse me. I told you were nuts, but you called it, and they did it. 2 amazing memories. Like, we battered Manchester City at home, and then we went to the Etihad and beat them 2-1 in their own ground.
Yeah, it was just brilliant, wasn't it? It's brilliant memories, and like, no, I wouldn't swap that for a League Cup win.
Either would I. I really wouldn't. I mean, apart from that, can you imagine the guys who were lucky enough to travel to those away legs, who were in the away end at Manchester City, who were in the away end at the Stadio Olimpico in Rome? And you've seen there was a lot of families there, a lot of dads bringing their sons to the games. I can only imagine the lifetimes worth of memories that they've got during those games. And as good as a Carling Cup or a Carabao Cup win would be down at Wembley, does it compare to bringing your child or celebrating with the players over in the Stadio Olimpico in Rome in the Champions League semi-final second leg?
It kind of leads on to another question: is like, do you watch football for success or for entertainment? Like, I'd say entertainment. Obviously, I want success at the same time, but yeah, I'd rather watch brilliant football playing big European nights than winning a few League Cups. Like, what's the win the League Cup to? It's not going to be able to brag about much, right? Like,
it's a really good point, and it's a really tough conversation. Like, we can point to Jose Mourinho and Manchester United. They've won trophies over the last couple of years. Would you rather sit through 38 games of Jose Mourinho
no, I would not.
or take watching this Liverpool side? Now look, we
Yeah,
can
I'd
point
rather
to
watch
other
this
teams
league
that have
like
won
that.
stuff as well, but for me, I've never felt this. I don't say close. Close isn't probably the word, but I've never felt this invested in Liverpool Football Club, and I've never felt like that. Excuse me for being cheesy here, but that trinity between fans, the players, the manager, the stadium, that actually exists. It really feels like it exists now. It feels like the people on the pitch and the manager get it.
That's it. Like, Klopp's just brought us all together. He just made the club brilliant that way. I guess what he does.
Just the style of football. Just think of the memories we've had. Like, think of that Borussia Dortmund game. Think of Dejan Lovren rising to knock in that to make it 5-4. That is absolute lunacy. Like, Borussia Dortmund tore us apart in the first half. Marco Reus was untouchable. And
Yeah, like we had no right to win that game.
no,
We still did
they
it.
were a better team. Hands down, they were a better team than us. And
Yeah, definitely.
we just have these memories that Manchester City don't have. Yes, they've won league titles, and they have that amazing memory of the way they won the first league title since the money came in, the way Aguero scored that goal. That's a brilliant memory that any football fan would cherish. But look at the way they won the league this year. Look at the celebrations. And look, I know the images of the parade were tainted and people were trying to show the shittiest images, and I know there was plenty of people there. But then you look at what happened in Liverpool as a city for the Champions League final. Now, when a Champions League final comes, usually you see an exodus out of a city because people in that city are going to the Champions League final. You've seen that. But you also seen people from all over the world wanting to travel to Liverpool City just to be part of what was happening. It's absolutely mental.
Yeah, it's just crazy. Like you said, everyone was just trying to get to Liverpool more than Kiev. 'Cause everyone just wanted to be in the city, and just the whole buzz around the city that the club was after creating. It's brilliant to see.
It just feels like we are all part of a movement or something at this point. Like, it's
We're all part of the solution.
well, exactly, Connor. We're part of the solution, not the fucking problem. And that's what life's all about, folks. You've got to be part of the solution. Chris has said somebody on Twitter's linked us to Julio Quiperio from Bullshit FC. 60 million, some of our fans will claim he's a better keeper and should replace Karius. I mean, to be fair, Chris, I've watched Julio. He's good. He'd probably be an upgrade on Karius, and I fully hope we sign him.
Oh, should we start a fake rumor in this and get everyone spread it on Twitter? Make up some fake player playing in the Brazilian league or something.
I guarantee
See
if
if
somebody
Irving
pick up on it, somebody would pick up and run with it.
Do you want to do it? See if Irving get.
Maybe we could, like, if you look back in the early Dream Team or something and pick out one of the names of the lads in there that was their first start playing for Harchester United. Pick out somebody like that.
Suggest some like names in the chat that could be like some Brazilian prodigy or something.
Yeah, so help us start
We get
this
moving.
bullshit rumour, guys. Give us a name of somebody who we can put out there as a link to a player Liverpool have apparently put an interest in. A new wonder kid coming up through some third division Brazilian league or something. A little bit better than Chris's Julio Quiperio or whatever his name was. Luca asks, do you believe in the July 1st transfer? And by that I think he means that FEKIR is going to be done on July 1st, because I think a few people are still grasping onto the whole thing about Leon's financial window.
Yeah, I think there's a few conspiracy theories going around with remember the leaked image of Fekir's interview? It said something in the title like 17-18, and people are like, hang on now, this will be 18-19 season. So maybe 17-18 is 1-7-18.
Yeah, so the 1st of July, obviously. And for our American viewers, I'm sorry, that's the proper way it should be done. It's like day, month, year. I know you guys like to do it completely different over there, just because you like to change everything. Colour is spelled COLOUR. Stop trying to take the U out of it, for fuck's sake. You know, be part of the solution, guys. Stand up for it. Oh, they're going to hate me. They're going to fucking hate me. I can see the hate campaign starting already. Nate92 asks, who would we sign instead of FEKIR? And I'll put that one to you, Connor. I'm going for James Rodriguez, but give me somebody instead of FEKIR.
Realistic or ideal?
I mean, I'm putting a cap of €100 million.
100 million. I would say Ziyech, but I thought you would have stepped down.
Well, that's interesting you've raised Ziyech, because I've seen that Lyon are looking at Ziyech as a possible replacement for FEKIR.
I actually seen that, yeah. It was Football Italia were reporting it.
So that's interesting, and again, you know, makes sense to an extent. He does seem like the type of footballer Lyon would sign. That it's not unusual for them to take players like that in their mid-20s. I think he's 25 or 26, if I remember correctly. Ziyech. He's not as young as some people think. So that it doesn't sound ludicrous to me that they might be interested in it. And if they do get somewhere around 50 odd million for Nabil Fekir, then probably trying to lowball at 22-23 million for Ziyech wouldn't be too bad.
Yeah, it's worth a go. Like, I think Roma are in for him as well, though, aren't they? And that's kind of more rumours, because if they end up buying him, they're probably selling ALISSON.
Well, originally when they went in, they were looking for Ziyech and Justin Kluivert. I think the first time I read this was 3 or 4 weeks ago. I'd seen that it was both those players, and this is before Ziyech went to the World Cup and started, you know, playing really well for Morocco.
Yeah, he had a decent World Cup, didn't he? He kind of started off slow, but he came into it a bit in the end.
And just looking through the comments here, Eugene says it's time for a cup. Maverick says top 2 and no cup is thumbs up. Joseph says, well, when Klopp signed, he said 3 years and he'll win a title, put himself under a little bit of pressure. Phil says, so what? It's a trophy. Maverick then says, or focus on the league and cup and a top 3 finish. And Luke says, go for all of them. And I don't mind going balls out kind of like that and going for all of them. But if we are going to go for all of them, it's more important than ever that we really do end up with a squad of 20 to 22 first choice players.
Yeah, not just buying average players to come in to replace the good players. You just need a squad of good players, not a first 11 of good players. Yeah,
like, you mean, you can't be looking to the bench when, say, Mo Salah picks up a knock and seeing Dominic Solanke or Danny Ings. With all due respect to both those players, the drop off in level there is too steep.
Yeah, it's like, even when you look at Real Madrid, look at their bench, like Gareth Bale, Asensio.
Sorry, I'm laughing at a suggestion from Thomas Santiago Munez from the Goal movie.
Yeah, I've seen that. Gavin Harris.
I think the Santiago Munez one might be a little bit too obvious. Somebody would, but we're on the right line there, Thomas. So good suggestion.
David Rusbolt actually said it. I've seen it before. It was. Did you ever hear the YouTube channel Ball Street?
Yeah, aren't they? And the Red Men and stuff all part of Ball Street.
Yeah, it's kind of like network, I think. Just I heard a rumour they got like a photoshopped image and claimed that Ryan Babel had signed for Newcastle, and everyone believed it. Even Ryan Babel was tweeting about it.
He was like, "Oh, chase, that's grand. There's a few bob in the bank."
I think he quoted saying, "Wait, what?"
I see Imran Khan has joined the chat. Imran, lovely. I refuse to read any of your comments though, Imran, until I get what I'm looking for. Buddy, you know what it is. Give me the list. Give me the names. Started with All Black, and then name me the 11 players that we're not going to see start next season, buddy. No, but being realistic, he says, no, not second in the league, a treble. LFC to dominate the Premiership and Europe. And I guarantee you that Imran whacks it in the chat now in a second, because he did it last night. He does it every night because he's a top bloke. Lubac says, I hope Keita gives us a mental edge on the pitch. As at this moment, we don't have any nasty leaders. And Connor, you have heard me banging that drum for a long time now. I want a horrible bastard in that Liverpool midfield.
Yeah, you've always said that. We're like a team full of nice guys, aren't we?
We are, and you know,
just need a cunt in midfield, basically.
You really do. You at least need one somewhere in your team, and at least with Suarez, we had one.
Yeah, he went a bit far at times, so.
I still though, you gotta love him. I mean, I thought when we signed Mario Balotelli, we were at least going to get a fucking lunatic. But he did nothing. He was far too
No,
quiet.
he just walked around, did nothing really.
The Bad Elf says Rodriguez was linked with us in early May, but there's been nothing since. Imran says Karius will never come back from those dreadful mistakes. Karius needs shifting. And Luke Small says we can see if Indy Kayla will go with the story.
Oh my god, yeah. Can we like collab with him or something?
He is like the Don of all ITKs, isn't he? He's like what everybody who starts writing rumours dreams of becoming.
Oh, I love him so much.
I really like him because I like the way he's just accepted it and he's just ran with it, and he understands that most people don't take him seriously, but he has a laugh at himself, and I like people that can do that.
He kind of has to though, because if he didn't, then people wouldn't like him. But yeah, I think he's brilliant. I love that kind of.
Jamal Abraham says, name one player Liverpool could sign that could make you guys go wow. Right, one player, Connor. One player who we can sign that would make us stop on our tracks and go, wow. Well, if I'm being honest, when I first seen the FEKIR link, I really was. That did take me. I didn't think he's a player we could have went in for. Now, obviously, you're going to want a better answer than that, so I'll try and come back in with somebody else. But have you anyone, Connor?
I'd probably say wow if we signed Maradona or like Colo Torre or something. But,
Colo.
Current football. Yeah, maybe like an All Black if we just somehow managed to pull off Asensio for 120, 50 million.
Fabinho was almost a wow moment just because it came from nowhere.
Yeah, it was just such a surprise. Like, he looked dead on to go to United for a lot of time, didn't he? And he just suddenly signed for us out of nowhere.
It's a very tough question because there's only so many top level footballers, and you look at where they are and you just think, well, how many of them are actually available? I think James Rodriguez would be a wow moment, to be fair.
Yeah, he's a good player. Like, I think he's still on loan at Bayern, though, isn't he?
That 17-year loan spell that he's on at Bayern Munich there, like, it's ridiculous.
No, that's Ronaldo. He's 17-year loan.
Yeah, Ronnie. I'm still interested to see how he gets on if he makes it back for the England game, James Rodriguez, because I mean I'd hate to see his World Cup over because I've fallen in love with that Colombian team.
Yeah, I just hate to see England go through, I think.
Yeah, I mean if England can get past Colombia, that draw really opens up for them.
Yeah, who's their tie, do we say? I remember looking at it, thinking they could easily finish in the semi-finals.
So if they get past Colombia, wasn't it? It was Sweden or Switzerland, I think.
That's it, yeah.
And then you're looking at maybe a Spain semi-final, I think.
Yeah, like they'd be delighted with a semi-final.
A semi-final for that England team would certainly be beyond expectations, and I would expect them to get a very good reception from the public and the media if they get to the semi-final. Now they may not get past Colombia.
Kind of the expectations, isn't it?
I think that's a 50-50 game, this Colombia game. I really think that they're in for a very, very hard game.
Yeah, Colombia are no pushovers, like, a very good squad.
I mean, they have the Colombian John Stones in Mina. I mean from scoring from corners. The lad, again, just banging them in for fun.
Yeah, they're just dangerous from every aspect of the pitch, aren't they?
It would be a massive loss if James Rodriguez can't play, though.
Yeah, he kind of gels the whole team together, isn't he? He brings all together. He's the main man.
Just looking through more of the.
They have Mo Salah, don't they? Sorry, Juan Cuadrado.
Yeah, Juan Cuadrado. You know what though? He's been decent enough. I've often slag him off, but he's been decent enough for Colombia during this World Cup, and they have Radamel Falcao as well.
Yeah, I kind of passed at this point, but yeah, he's still a good player.
He's passed it, but do you know what? If the ball drops to him in the box, I'd be confident he's putting it away.
Yeah, he's still a very good finisher. Like, he just hasn't got the legs.
The Mighty Red says that his player who he'd go well for would be Zaha, and that's a good show.
Zaha, yeah.
He'd be a player that I think some people still underestimate how good he is.
He seems to be very underrated. I think it's because he plays at such a low level with Crystal Palace.
Imran thinks that Woodburn can be the attacking midfielder.
I wouldn't start him. Don't think he's that good, yeah. But he could be in a few years.
It's gone a little bit quiet, hasn't it, on Ben Woodburn now? I know he had an injury at some point last season, but... And again, I suppose I'll caveat that by saying it's not unusual for a young player to get introduced and then get taken out of the limelight again.
Yeah, because like when he first came onto the scene, there was so much hype around him. Everyone thought he was going to be the next big thing. And then he kind of just had a few sub-appearances, got that injury and kind of disappeared off the face of the earth for the whole year. Hopefully he can come back though.
Do you know what, Connor? I think it's almost that time where we need to whack in a few more mods. I'm looking through the chat here. I think we should do our mod of the week.
Yeah, should we get the people in the chat to vote for who they think should be a mod?
Yeah, who do you guys think we should make a mod next? I mean, Maverick, you're a mod. Luke, you're a mod there. Obviously, who else is a mod for us? I can't even remember. We've so many at this point. Who should we give a mod? Who should we make a mod, guys? Let us know in the chat. Who's contributed well to the chat over the last week? And you know, look, I know it's nothing major. It's just a little bit of crack, but let us know. I must caveat what a little bit of crack means. Actually, I'm not. I'm talking about this purely from an Irish aspect.
Irish, not Maradona aspect.
Maverick says, "Can anybody account for why FEKIR hasn't really shone in the World Cup?" And I suppose it's down to restricted game time so far, Connor.
Sorry, who's this FEKIR?
Yeah, why he hasn't really lit up the World Cup yet?
Yeah, he hasn't really played much, has he? Kind of brawn for the last 10, 15, 20 minutes of games. So he hasn't really had a chance to make an impact.
Cameron says Fabinho is quite fast for a tall guy. He is, and also a very, very good penalty taker.
Yeah, I think he never missed a penalty or something stupid like that.
He's even done some cheeky ones as well, like some cheeky Panenkas and stuff.
He doesn't look the type to be like that.
No, did you see there was an image around that he has landed? There was an image of his plane, his wife getting off the plane that they have landed are in Liverpool. Damo says, loved it when Keita whispered menacingly to Ox and didn't even think of taking my place, or don't even think of taking my place in the team on first meeting Ox.
Did you see that clip?
No, I did see the images, but only still images. I haven't seen the video clip or anything.
Yeah, I think they came in and I think Kate asked, how are you? And Ox said, not as good as you, or something.
I love Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain, I have to say. I really love the guy. He won me over very quickly. And
let's go for a point with him sometime.
He's one of the most media-savvy footballers I've ever seen. He really gets it, like.
He's just so natural, isn't he, talking to the media? Like, he sounds like a captain nearly, doesn't he?
Even down to his choice of girlfriend, he got it bang on, like.
Yeah, he's doing everything right, isn't he?
He is. He's a top lad. I'm so glad he's a Red, and I hope he gets back soon because he was really, really good last season.
Yeah, it's such a shame he's out for so long.
It really is. I mean, he deserved. Like, he was a huge part of the reason that Liverpool team got to the Champions League final, and everything he did in and around the final, with the jersey for the young lad, the tickets for him and his dad, just the way he carried himself. He's a top lad. Of so much respect for Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain. David says, how much do you think Asensio was worth, and would you prefer Asensio instead of Isco? No, is my first answer to that one. I'm absolutely in love with Isco. I would love Isco. I love him as a footballer. I mean, he's just getting better and better and better. I understand, obviously, Asensio is he younger? He is younger, isn't he? He must be younger than Isco. Isco's been around a little bit longer.
I think he is, yeah. He's a bit younger.
But how much is he worth? It's a really tough question because, it's tough to put a figure on anybody at this point. I suppose I'd be comfortable if Liverpool paid 70 million, maybe, Connor. This is kind of where I'm at. 60 with add-ons, maybe, to 70.
Yeah, because, it's kind of awkward because if we had him, I think we would be looking for 120, 150, but you wouldn't want to pay that much, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, he's not. So we spoke about Coutinho, right? And Coutinho is a sexy footballer. From an extent, from a marketing point of view, the fact he's Brazilian, the type of football he plays. Is Asensio that much of a superstar, if you get me? Is he? Can he command the same type of figures?
Probably not. He has such a high ceiling,
He does.
He's going to be a superstar someday. I just have a feeling about him. He's going to be one of the best few players in the world in a couple of years.
One thing that really pisses me off actually is it seems like Neymar is looking for so many camera moments during this World Cup. He seems like he's going out of his way to try and take the glory away from his teammates.
Yeah, I actually said it a while ago. I think he kind of holds that team back because he wants to make everything about him. What do you think of that? What do you make of him in that squad?
I fucking hate him. That's what I make of him. I really don't like Neymar. I lost all respect for him once he signed for PSG. It just goes to show he is only about money. And I think I put it on our Twitter account during the week, at Anfield Agenda, by the way, if anyone's in here and haven't followed us on Twitter. Imagine how good he'd be if he actually tried. If he had the work rate of Lionel Messi, imagine how good he could be.
Yeah, like he could really be pushing for the Ballon d'Or, couldn't he?
He really could. And
like
for me, he's not even... but as it stands, I wouldn't put him anywhere near the reckoning for the Ballon d'Or.
Who do you think will be the third if Ronaldo and Messi are the other two?
It has to be Salah. It genuinely has to be Mo Salah. And that's not us being more... I think me being biased anyway. I really feel it has to be Mo Salah. If it's based purely on what happened in the last season, then yes, for me, Mo Salah has to be in the final three.
It's calendar year though, isn't it? So you kind of have to go off what happens in the next 6 months.
It'd be interesting to see how they vote, how the coaches and the captains from the other clubs vote.
I'd love to see him win it.
Oh, can you imagine?
I can't see it happening, but I'd love to see it.
I'd probably subscribe to the United stand for a week just to watch him crying. And look, I don't go out of my way to talk about United or badmouth Manchester United on here, but that fucking cabbage that runs that channel, my God, I've never seen somebody flip flop so much in their opinions.
Oh, he's a parody of himself at this point, isn't he?
He really.
I think he knows that though.
He really is just a special.
It has to be an act, doesn't it? It has to be.
Definitely Mammy's little soldier. He definitely is. It definitely gets tucked in at night by his ma.
He definitely must be a character though. He can't actually be that stupid at times, can he?
Yeah, sometimes you wonder, is he just a cabbage or is he actually a genius? Like, I'm talking like David Brent type of genius here, like
he has the whole of like football Twitter and all this on strings. It's everyone thinking he's an idiot, but they're all just clicking on his videos, making him money. Like, so
what I will say is he works hard. I'll give him that much. I mean, he does put the hours in. I mean, he puts out content like you wouldn't believe, but he's a gobshite. He really is. Joseph says, I'm from Dublin. Craig, shout out Bubble in Dublin. If we're talking about Bubble as in sniff, then we'll have to pass. We'll stick to just having a bit about Irish crack. What's hippie crack, by the way? I've heard this mentioned on a podcast the other day and I completely forgot what it was. Connor, do you remember what hippie crack is?
Hippie crack?
Yeah, wasn't it one of the things that the players were like laughing gas or something? Is that it?
I couldn't tell you. Never heard it before.
Is it nitrous? Is it not nitrous oxide? One of the things I think. Do you remember? Was it Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain who was caught doing it actually?
Sterling, I think, was it?
Oh, Sterling, yeah. Oh no, I'm not gonna badmouth Sterling. Do you know that, because he's got too much. Gas, yeah. He's got too much lately. He deserves a break. He really does.
Yeah, the media's so harsh on him. Like, it's ridiculous.
James says he doesn't want to be a mod, he just likes sitting on the bench. Speaking of on the bench, you seen him pop in here last night, our friend Daz from On The Bench LFC. Look, we give shout outs to as many people as we can because there's a lot of fantastic LFC content providers out there. But if you enjoy our stuff, then pop over, give Daz a subscription if you haven't already. He is a top red, a top lad, doesn't come out with ITK nonsense, just like us, enjoys coming on, talking to you guys. So Connor, look, we're big fans of Daz and On The Bench LFC.
Oh yeah, I love Daz. He's just like a sound guy, he's just class. And he does really good videos as well. If
you haven't yet hit the sub button on our channel, by the way, I mean, I'm not going to be shy about it. Hit the button, help us grow, be part of the solution.
Yeah, be part of the solution, exactly.
What else have we got here during the chat? Money says, sorry, I'm after losing that actually. I'm after scrolling past myself. Excuse me, folks, bear with me 1 second. Sometimes I just go up and down through the chat. Money says, last season's Naby had 2 red cards. I think it was 3 actually.
3 in the first 4 weeks or something, yeah.
I think he needs to be careful with his tackles. Yeah, he probably will. He may go out and be a little bit too enthusiastic, Connor, at the start of the season, so we may see a couple of rash challenges, but I've no doubt that Klopp will work on it and rein him in.
Yeah, I think most of that was just because he was frustrated not getting the move. He wasn't even just taking out his own players in training.
That was hilarious.
That was brilliant. I just remember like waking up one morning and seeing all the videos of him just taking your man out with just like everyone going, get him, just get him over to Liverpool now before he breaks someone's legs.
Flatman9 says, is being a mod your version of a Klopp hole, Craig? That's a good show, to be fair. Yeah, it's an Anfield agenda hug. There you go. Connor, do you know what? Look, we said we had something to speak about earlier on, and now seems as good a time as any to talk about it. A couple of the guys in here have mentioned about the likes of Patreon and Ko-fi and stuff like that to us, and I haven't been shy about saying that it's not what we're about. We're not on here to try and fleece people for money. We're not on here to try and, put our hand out and say, help us, we can't make this content without your input and stuff. But some people have asked, some people have said, do you have a Patreon account? Is there anywhere that we could, buy you guys a pint, for instance? And it's a subject I'm always embarrassed to speak about, Connor, but we were asked it, so we do have to put it into the conversation.
Yeah, so we've set up a Ko-fi account and a Patreon. Basically, Ko-fi is kind of like, you go on, you can just make a donation. I think €3 a time. It's basically like buying us a coffee or a pint or whatever way you want to look at, and just like a little tip, I suppose. It's like a tip jar, I think, that way. And Patreon is a subscription kind of thing where you decide to pay however much you want per month, and we will be setting up rewards on that for so if you pay more, you get certain things that other people don't get. That kind of stuff. We haven't finalised it all yet, but
Connor will send you nudes, guaranteed.
Well, if someone does 50 grand a month, I'll send nudes.
You might see things like Connor will give you updates on his beard growth over the next month or two.
Yeah, get a daily selfie. Yeah.
Yeah, now look, as I said, guys, it's not what we're about.
Not.
We're not on here to try and make money or fleece money from you guys. We're quite happy to do what we're doing and chugging along. But as you guys have asked, we just thought we'd say, Connor will probably, you put the links, Connor, in the description?
I think I did. It's patreon.com/Anfield Agenda anyway. And I think same with Ko-fi, so /Anfield Agenda.
So look, if it's something you want to do, the links are there. Patreon.com/Anfield Agenda. Ko-fi.com, the same thing, /Anfield Agenda. It's not something we expect, guys. We're just coming back. We're just mentioning it because you guys asked us about it. Back to the
no
chat.
Pressure, it's just pure, if you want to,
Absolutely not. No pressure at all. It's not what we're about, Connor. We don't give a shit about money. I mean, we'll be 100 there someday.
That's just a dream, isn't it?
Here we go. Somebody says here that United stand guy banned me. James Doherty. What did you do, James? Let us know. What did you do to get banned? I'd be really interested to know where he draws the line. How far is too far? Well, that's the go-to answer, isn't it? I mean, I must have been called a bald nonce about 500 times at this point.
If you had €1 for every time you called a bald nonce, you would be 100 there by now.
I definitely would. And the amount of times people have compared me to that other fella that everybody calls a nonce. What's his name?
Bateson.
Yeah, him. I don't even know who the fuck he is, but apparently he's a big deal.
Oh, he's ridiculous. He's this FIFA YouTuber, and you tweet him anything, he'll just block you. He blocked me. I'd never tweeted him before. He just blocks everyone. I think he has something like 40,000 people blocked.
Jesus Christ! And I thought my YouTube or my Twitter blocking was good.
No, it's ridiculous. He'd say he just sits there blocking people all day, every day.
Skipper Dog says, yes it is. Eugene says, hippie crack is nitrous oxide. David says, did you see Maradona's face when Rojo scored that goal? It was, yeah, the memes have been better though, Connor, and the doctored images.
Oh, so funny. I just loved how the camera cut to him and he's suddenly sticking his fingers up at Nigerians and that instantly cut away again.
Joseph says, shit, I meant to say bubbling in Dublin. Sorry, Craig. I thought you were on one. I thought you were on a Maradona. Joseph, to be fair. It is fucking roasting here. I'm in Wexford. Connor, you're in Wexford at the moment as well?
Yeah, Wexford, sweating like a pig.
Absolutely roasting.
Might come back on, be fan, actually.
It's not a bad complaint, though. I mean, I'll take it. Absolutely. Thomas says, got some looks over here in the USA 20 years ago when I asked him, what's the crack, boys? Neil says, if we buy this Silisson, it'll be an absolute joke. He's crap, no upgrade at all. What about the Swedish goalkeeper, Tobin Olsen? He looks immense at 6'6". Do you know who's a keeper that I mentioned, Connor? And again, I'll come back to that, Neil. Sorry, I'm not just brushing off your question. That the South Korean keeper, he looks mad. The young lad with the mad hair.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to know, isn't it? Imagine how interesting that'll be just to sign him and give him a chance.
I seen something, by the way, that was brilliant. So, you know the way VAR has been a big thing around the World Cup and people have talked about it being a good thing, it being a bad thing. Well, somebody described a massive mistake as VAR Mageddon, which I thought was absolutely brilliant. I think it was Didi Hamann described it on RTE or something.
That's brilliant.
Okay, I think Brian's saying good night, Brian. Thank you for joining again, mate. Have a lovely evening, and no doubt I'll chat to you over the weekend. Connor is glad the weather is warm, says Chris.
Sorry,
Connor, he spelled it wrong. He spelled it wrong. He spelled it wrong.
Come on, Chris.
He spelled it. Are you on the hippie crack, Chris?
I'm going to spell your name with a K from now on, Chris.
Oh. And you have seen each other naked. And he still spells your name wrong. That's
no comment.
What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. Thomas says, isn't Olsen in his mid-30s? I haven't got a clue. Tom says, hit the like button if you love the pool. Hit that damn like button. Good man, Tom. Tom every night Tom's on here look, Tom isn't a mod, Connor.
Okay. Tom was our first commenter on YouTube.
Exactly. The very first person to comment on any content we put on YouTube was Tom, and we'll never forget that, Tom. I think I've reminded him of it about 1 million times at this point.
Okay, he's now a mod.
Now, there you go. Thank you, Tom. You're today's mod, so thank you for that, mate. And we appreciate all the support that you guys have given the Anfield Agenda since we've started. We've grown really quickly, Connor, and look, we used to be just about podcasts. You were trying to steer me towards YouTube for a very long time, but me being the grumpy old man that I am, seemed to think that if I came onto YouTube, it would be nothing but a bald nonce fest.
Yeah, it's been good on here, though, hasn't it?
I have really enjoyed myself. I mean, the people we've got to know on here, the facts I've learned from you guys about different players, and the amount of times you guys have saved my ass when I've forgotten the names of players as well. And yeah, it's been great. We've grown. I haven't even noticed the subscribers at some point, Connor, how many it's gone. I mean, one week I looked, we were at 500 when we just started, and then the next week we were somehow nearing 1,000.
Yeah, now we're at like 1,200.
No, I know.
Think how many people that is. Like, it's actually crazy when you think about it.
It is, and I know. Look, we're a small fry. We're a small account compared to some of the bigger accounts out there, but it's not about fame for us, Connor. It's not fame. That's the wrong word. It's not about numbers. It's not about money. It's just about experiences, meeting other Reds. No, for me, it's about knowing that people take the time to listen to the stuff that we make and enjoy the things that we make.
Yeah, it is funny when you think about it. Like, just like we record stuff and then we just people listening to it like at the other end of the world. All the Liverpool fans bring this together. Like, it is crazy.
I'll never forget the first time I wrote an article and I put that out. I nearly threw up waiting for the feedback from the article, and now here we are. Like, it was probably shy, if I'm being honest. I imagine it was absolute garbage.
Well, how was the feedback though?
I was alright. I mean, people were polite. I think that's all I could hope for at that point.
Yeah, even the first time I did a podcast, like, I was a nervous wreck. Now I just don't mind it. I'm just chatting away.
The White Warrior says, what do you guys think of Shrek going to the USA? He won't be scoring any more goals against the pool. Yeah, that's a really funny situation. He came back to Everton last year, saying he wanted to come home to finish his career at his boyhood club, and then he fucks off to DC United.
Yeah, his home's in America, apparently.
Yeah, full on Robbie Keane.
How can they afford his wages over there? Like, how can they justify that? I suppose, like, just bring in the big names, though, isn't it? Trying to establish the league still.
Yeah, I know they are allowed to have 3, I don't know what they're called, overpaid players. Let's just call it that, I think.
Do they have like a wage structure in that league?
They do have a wage structure, I think, or a cap on wages for are they called marquee players, perhaps? Something along those lines. I mean, if any of you guys in here are more familiar with the MLS than us, please help us out. Let us know.
Some Americans watching here.
Let us know how the likes of Rooney and stuff can be afforded by these clubs, because it seems utter madness to us that they're willing to pay an ageing bald twat like Rooney the amount that they seem to be.
Yeah, what kind of money is he on out there, do you think?
I don't know, but you'd imagine that it has to be 7 million plus a year.
At least.
Bear with me one sec, guys. Chris has apologised now. He says, sorry, Connor.
Sorry, Chris.
Tom says, cheers, Thomas. Look, Tom looks good in blue, doesn't he? He looks good with that blue spanner beside his name.
Yeah. Everyone looks good with a spanner beside him, though.
I'll never forget the comment from Rod.
Rod, was it?
Yeah, that was brilliant. he thought it was in YouTube, didn't he? Just thinking he had a screw loose or something. Thomas says, going to need your vote next week. Yeah, Thomas is definitely someone that should be up for contention for being a mod. What can mods actually do, Connor? I mean, I'm just here. Give everybody a mod like they're knighthoods, just handing them out to everybody.
And we can just like block out trolls and stuff like that. I think it's not much really, but it's just kind of like, I suppose saying thanks for being there, just make you stand out. Like even if we get to the point where we're getting too many comments, we better see them ones easier, I suppose.
Dell says, listen, Craig, as much as I love the podcast, and I do love a good podcast, the live chat on YouTube is a different level. I believe we're interacting with someone up the road from me. Thank you. The podcasts are, I'm not going to say my favourite thing, but they're how I started putting out content really, and they'll always be my bread and butter to an extent. This is all new to us, and we plan on increasing the range of content, Connor, don't we, that we can provide on here on YouTube. I mean, video pods with the 4 or 5 guys is obviously the next step.
Yeah, video pods, and then like down the road maybe shooting some like documentaries and stuff like that. It's going to be really fun.
Well, I suppose this all comes back to the conversation we had a little bit earlier on about funding and stuff. I mean, as we get sponsorship or whatever, as we move forward, we will try and start even flying to the UK, flying to Germany, filming more stuff together as a group, and not doing stuff as we have to do sometimes over Skype. The more times we can get together in a room, the more fun it is, and I'm glad you're enjoying it, Dale. Thank you very much, mate. It means a lot to us, doesn't it, Connor?
Yeah, it's brilliant, like, and there's lovely comments to give to Craig, like.
I think he's just pointing me out. I think he is meaning everybody here. I just the bald-headed twat that seems to come on here. But Tom has done a live stream, and talking to him the other night, he's dying to come back on and do another one. So no doubt Tom will be on again soon. And I think the guys, I think you all enjoyed Tom's night and chatting with Tom. Chris has just been really busy with work at the minute, but no doubt Chris will come on. You've got Dave has been on a few times. I think everybody almost at this point has come on for at least a chat, Connor.
Yeah, I think nearly everyone has. Like, everyone should get on. It's great crack, like.
The Bad Elf says they call it the designated player rule or the Beckham rule. It's for 3 players, so each club are allowed to have 3 players. I think that they break the structure for.
It's really strange.
The White Warrior says, Craig, don't like that jersey on you, mate. That red and black is Man United colours. Yeah, look, I think I explained the story before about why I got this shirt. Go to Orlando pretty much every year with the family on holidays, and usually we stop off in Atlanta for a stopover on the way, and I have an Orlando City shirt obviously, but I wanted to pick up another few MLS shirts, and I was passing through the airport and this Atlanta shirt was there, and I absolutely adore the stadium that they play in as well, that Mercedes Arena. Oh look, I know I think it's the Atlanta Falcons ground, but have you seen that stadium, Connor?
I actually haven't. I've heard you talk about it a few times.
It is absolutely mental. It's one of the best stadiums I've ever seen in the world. So I'm just fascinated, guys, by the expansion of the MLS, and I do watch quite a bit of it. To be fair, it's on Sky Sports quite a bit over here, but I don't really have any allegiances, mate. I'm a bit of a, what did Tom call me before? I'm a bit of a hipster when it comes to football shirts. I do buy them. I mean, I buy football shirts from lots of different clubs. I've got Juve shirts. I've got obviously Liverpool shirts, Ireland shirts, Atlanta shirts, Orlando shirts. I just like a good football shirt. I'm a bit of a chav, if I'm being honest. I wear shirts and tracksuits, so. Joseph says, what is the jersey? It's Atlanta. Well, no, wrong side. It's Atlanta United. Yeah, there you go. MLS side. Yeah. Joseph says it looks like a St. Pat's shirt. Now there you go. More like a Bohemian shirt.
More Bowls,
yeah. So. More like a Bowls shirt. They're red and black, I think. Pats are just red and white, aren't they? Or all red.
Yeah, red and white.
Muneen says there's no updates on the FEKIR deal today. Hopefully next week Liverpool will make the announcement. And Chris says it's no Anfield though. Nick says Atlanta United is the best team in the MLS. Yeah, I've always enjoyed watching them play. I mean, I can't remember who I think he's a Mexican, the young forward that they have. He's just ridiculously pacey, and I always enjoy Atlanta United's games because there seems to be a goal fest every time they play, and their support in the MLS. And I know they're a new club. I know they're a new expansion team. I think they only started last year, but they seem to have really, really good support. And I think perhaps they might be like Leipzig. I think they're disliked by many other clubs, Connor, in the MLS.
Who at
Atlanta.
Atlanta?
Yeah, I think if I'm reading this correctly, guys, and again, you guys seem to know a lot more about the MLS than I do. Are Atlanta United disliked by other clubs in the MLS? I know, as I said, I'm going to Orlando again this year with the family on holidays. Have we got anybody in the chat that's a Floridian or that's based in and around Orlando? Because I want to take in an Orlando City game this year. I know they've moved to the new stadium. They used to play in, is it the Florida State University Stadium or something? And now they've moved to the new ground. So I would love to take in a game. And the league is on while I'm over there. So I'd imagine during the course of the couple of weeks I'm over there, there'd be a home game. So yeah, if any of you guys are in and around the Orlando area, let me know. I'd love to pop down and say hello when I'm over there. I plan on going to the supporters club, the Orlando supporters club, and possibly as well Connor visiting Casey down the Tampa Bay supporters club.
Yeah.
Be great to interview those guys and do a pod with them.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Nathan says, would you ever wear the new second kit? No. I do like a mad kit, Nathan. I had that Warrior purple one a few years back, but this one is just a little bit too purple even for me, Connor. But you said it's not so bad in person.
I quite like it. I only get buy because I usually only buy 1K every year and I have the home one already. But I do like it though. It's nice.
I'm waiting for the third one. I'm definitely buying the
class,
third kit. Definitely, 100%.
That does look unreal.
Dell says, Connor, that comment was meant for all of you. Craig, Christian, but to name a few. See, there you go. I told you.
There we go.
Sharing the love around. Club hugs for everyone. Chris Brown says, cheers, Dale. Chris, actually, while you're in the chat, are you home safely from the Isle of Man, buddy? I know you were away at work, so hopefully you got back safely. Moneen says, the best World Cup jersey is the Nigeria one.
I love that kit.
It was a lovely shirt, but I disagree. I think Germany, both home and away, were beautiful, but I really like the Colombia away shirt.
They were the three I was actually thinking of, yeah.
And the Mexican home one isn't too bad either.
Yeah, it's not bad either.
Actually, the Argentina away one isn't too bad either. There's been some damn nice shirts during this World Cup. I think that's one thing.
Nice. What
have you guys made of the World Cup so far? I mean, it's definitely been known as the World Cup with the most penalties, but what have you made of it, Connor? Have you enjoyed it? There's been only 1-0 draw, wasn't it? The France game? Was that that was certainly the first 0-0
one,
draw.
Yeah. I think it's the only one so far. It has been pretty good. I think it's as good as international football's going to get, I think, because there's no emotional attachment to it if your country isn't in it, which Ireland aren't.
Yeah.
That last Euros, I loved that so much, watching Ireland play. Even though we're shit, it's just so much fun going to the pub and everyone just being buzzing about it. And then if we win, the whole country's just happy.
Yeah, nothing for me will ever touch Italia 90. No, nothing will ever touch that for me. That was... I've spoken about that before, and Connor... You've often said you'd like to start making a small documentary at some point, and I would love to make something on the effects of Italia 90 on the Irish society in general.
Yeah, you mentioned that before. It sounds like a really good idea.
I think it might be just a coincidence that the Celtic Tiger started to come in and around that time, and we went from being what was a relatively poor country, like shop vans and chipper vans, into Costa coffees and things like can you you weren't around, but Italian ID, I can't imagine people going to Costa coffees and Starbucks. Chris said he did get home safely, which is great. Flatman says, breaking a glass that I've just dropped. Sorry boys, couldn't help it. Thomas says it's not all about the kits, it's all about the results, and that's true. I make a point of buying one kit a year, and even if I didn't like one of the three, I'd still buy them, because I just like to have the home kit pretty much every year, Connor.
Yeah, I like to switch it up a bit, because otherwise you just have kit, because the kits do look very alike every year, to be fair, most times.
Now, taking last year's kit out of it, because I think everybody was agreed that last year's kit was a game changer.
Yeah, that was lovely.
What's been your favourite Liverpool kit since 2000?
Ooh. I don't even know how to describe it. I think what year was it? I just have images of Fowler wearing it. I think it was 2000 and... I was thinking if I find a picture of it and explain better. And that was with the home kit of one of them years. And then I remember What year did we beat Barca at Nou Camp? Remember John Arne Riise scored?
Oh, the green and white Adidas one. I
Yeah,
think we
I
wore on that
fucking love
one.
that one.
The nutter
I
with the
love that
putter.
one. That was such a nice kit.
And well, we're having a conversation here between myself and Connor. But guys in the chat, let me know what was your favourite kit. What kit did you like? And we're going since 2000 here, because we could go back a little bit further. And mine would certainly be the grey candy one, or the Crown Paints 86 to 88, I think it was. But yeah, let us know, what was your favourite kit, Liverpool kit. Connor's struggling here to come up and tell you, so I'm going to come out and give you my one.
Find the year.
I really liked that 13-14 home shirt. The one, obviously you just think of Suarez in it, but I thought that was a very tidy
That's
shirt.
the one with the kind of collar on it.
Not really a collar as such. That was the year after, I think. It was the one that had white and red to an extent. It had yellow, right? And I think the standard chart was in yellow.
Yeah,
on
I think I have that one actually. Yeah.
That was one of my favourite kits in the last few years. Chris says last season's home kit. Yeah, it was stunning. As I said, it was a game changer for us with kits, and I'm glad they kept the red this season, Connor.
Yeah, it's the same kind of darker red, isn't it?
Flatman
Really
said,
nice.
did Connor call me a troll?
Oh yeah, he said about the breaking glass.
Oh, well, if he did, there was nothing. There was no...
You're
no.
the good type of troll.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. You're certainly not a troll, Flatman, so don't take that one personally if you did. It was just a laugh. Muneen says the World Cup is ruining the transfers. I can't wait for it to end. It's going to be mayhem, Muneen, mate. I mean, these few weeks when... I said it, there's about 3 weeks of a window for clubs to get all their business done. It's going to be... I'm going to be living on here, Connor. It's going to be like Big Brother live stream 24/7 type shit.
We should do that sometime, like 24-hour stream.
Chris says the 82 kit was the best ever. You're cheating, Chris. You're cheating, buddy. We said no going back past 2000. But look, some of them kits in the 70s and 80s were amazing. Oh, Connor just texted me an image of this kit. I think of Mascherano and Torres in that kit.
Yeah, Torres now. There's another one I'm trying to think of. That was one of the first ones I owned, I remember.
I cannot think. What year is that?
I can't even find the year on it.
So it's Mascherano then. So I imagine it's around 2008, 2009, maybe?
Yeah, I'd say about that.
Thomas Boland says the one Stevie G wore lifting old big ears. Yeah, that was a special kit. I actually have in the attic. I have a squad signed 2005 kit that is one of my cherished possessions. I cherish it so much that I won't even hang it up on the wall in my house, which I suppose my wife is kind of happy with. But I do have some shirts hanging around the house. Don't worry about that one. I mean, when you come in my hall door, Steven Gerrard is staring you right in the face. I've actually had people get pissed off working in my house when they've seen the Liverpool memorabilia.
Really?
Yeah, United fans
Man
and stuff.
United
They're taking it a little bit too personally.
Fuck's sake.
And I'm sure that I've had to pay more as well. I'm sure when I'm getting a quote, I'm sure these lads have charged me more.
I'm just sending you through another picture there. I can't find the year, but you know the kit. You probably might know the year.
The Bad Elf says the 0809 grey away kit. Yeah, I definitely think that's 2008, 2009, Connor, or thereabouts.
That one I just sent through.
Yeah, I think they're both in and around the same time. That collar though, I didn't like the collar on that second one you sent through.
I just loved it. I don't know why.
Paul says the 75-76 home shirt. White Warrior says the best kit was the 4-1 against Man United in Old Trafford. It's similar to the new kit out next month.
One.
Yeah, that was a nice
one.
kit. The one where Gerrard goes up and kisses the camera, and wasn't it? What's the guy's name? The defender, the Italian guy who scored the fourth goal. The guy who played fuck all for us but went back to Italy.
I can't remember.
Oh, God.
Defender, was he?
Yeah. He scored the fourth goal, I think, in that United game. We certainly scored 8. And it was a belter of a goal as well. I can't think of the guy's name. No doubt, Desane. Look, there it is, boom, in the chat, straight away. White Warrior, Skipper Dog, not let me down. Look, they're all at it.
So many, man.
Yeah, it was indeed. Andrew Desane. It was a belter of a goal. Del Croft says Aquilani, don't remind me of him. I remember when we signed him, I was reading up
there was
about
so
him.
much buzz about him, wasn't there?
The Little Prince, I think, was his nickname, if I remember correctly, when we signed him. Oh, it was such a letdown. Just
Such
saying
high
it. Look,
hopes.
you guys are just on the money. You really are. I think they're almost waiting at this point for me to forget names because they know it's coming. I haven't gone through a single stream where I haven't forgotten either names, years. Some people have asked to even know my own name. Flatman says, I think I have a tattoo to my arm somewhere. Chris says, and versus Real Madrid as well. Do you remember that game against Real Madrid where we beat them at home? Was it 4-0 or something? We absolutely battered them. But funnily enough, Casillas was man of the match in that game.
I remember hearing that.
That should have been 7, 8 or 9. And Torres was a man on a mission during that game.
Yeah, it's so strange that losing 4-0 at keeper's man of the match.
Actually, Munayin has raised something that I often wondered about. He said the 2008 kit was the best one, especially with the long sleeve. Excuse me. Where do you guys stand on long and short sleeve kits? And I don't mean on players, I mean to buy for yourself, to wear at home. Connor, how about you? Would you ever buy a long sleeve shirt?
Wouldn't be against it. I think it works better on some certain kits, like that one I sent through, the second picture. That one looked class with long sleeves. Say this year's one, I don't think it'll work very well. I wouldn't be against it.
I just don't. I don't know. I don't feel like it's a football shirt if it's got long sleeves. If I've bought it and wore it, I have no problem with players wearing it. But for me, I don't feel like it's a football shirt if it's long sleeved.
Yeah, I'm not really against long sleeves in general. It's just like if it looks good on the kit or not.
Did I read somewhere before that at Arsenal the captain decided, and everybody either wore short sleeve or long sleeve, but whatever they wore, it was the captain's decision.
What the hell?
I'm sure I read that somewhere before, and like you guys in the chat are obviously super knowledgeable. If I'm making up this or I'm just plucked it out of thin air, let me know. But I'm sure, maybe not Arsenal, but I'm sure I've seen at one of the top Premier League clubs, it was the captain's choice, and everybody had to wear one or the other. They couldn't chop and change.
What's the point in that though?
I've no idea. Absolutely. What I am against though is players wearing fucking tights and stuff.
God. I love when keepers wear like tracksuit bottoms.
Oh, like full on your man from Crystal Palace. The Crystal Palace goalkeeper. Here we go again. What's his name?
I just remember the Hungarian keeper, wasn't it, in the last Euros?
Yeah, and I think this guy is Hungarian or something as well. No doubt it'll appear in the chat here in a second. So,
Corelli. That was the Hungarian lad, I think, wasn't it?
What's his name?
Corelli.
Oh, I don't know.
Bad outfit, said it.
I've never bought a long sleeve shirt. Karai, I think, is how it was pronounced, if I remember correctly. Yeah, he used to wear grey tracksuit bottoms all the time. Lunatic. When I was a goalkeeper, though, coming up, playing, under 13, 14 and stuff, over here in Ireland, I wore tracksuit bottoms quite a lot playing. I had the padded ones, though.
That's different, though, because we're just freezing your balls off here in Ireland, like.
Yeah, and some of the pitches we had to play on as well were, there was stones everywhere. Paul Turner says he's got a long sleeve retro from the 70s home and away kits. Chris Byrne says, depending on players, McManaman suited long sleeve tops. He did, actually. That's a fair show.
Don't remember seeing that.
Damo says, probably because Tony Adams had a bottle of spirit up his sleeve. Flatman says it was Karai and he looked really cheap and 2 sizes too big. They did. They always look too big. He's spot on.
Like the ones you get in pennies for like €4.
Absolutely, that's exactly the ones, yeah. Every fucking Irish fella has about 10 pairs of them.
Oh yeah, I have 2 or 3 sitting behind me here.
They don't last fucking pissing time though, to be fair.
Yeah, but they only cost about €3 anyway.
Where do you stand on do you like a closed cuff or an open cuff at the bottom?
A bit of either, really.
I'm completely open cuff. Well, except to get wet, so much easier if you're walking outside. Thomas Bolin says, remember the Brazilian who scored direct free kick in their 4-1, Fabio Aurelio. Oh, what a player.
I love him.
If he hadn't been for injuries, Fabio Aurelio would have had a really good time at Liverpool. He was a very good footballer.
Yeah, good on free kicks, wasn't he?
He was. He was really talented. He was very, as Brendan Rodgers would say, he was a really good technician.
So he left back?
He was, yeah.
Yes, no.
Delcroft said, I played matches here and at times I had tracksuit bottoms on and a fucking scarf. Munayin says, I think Torres wearing long sleeve suited him. And Thomas Boland says Gabor Kariali, or however that's pronounced. But yeah, spot on. Karai. Joseph said Long Johns.
Long Johns, Jesus.
Ben says best looking man in Liverpool kit was Razor Ruddock. Some of the stories that fella has to tell, it's crazy. Some of the shit they got up to.
Yeah, I don't know an awful lot about him, to be honest. Kind of before my time.
Nick asks, do you remember Kyriakos, the Greek?
Yeah,
or Nathan asked, excuse me, it wasn't Nick. It was Nathan said, do you remember Kyriakos?
Don't remember an awful lot about him, do you?
Well, you know my thoughts on anybody with long hair. Fucking hippies need to get a cut. So I disliked him from the start because of his ridiculous haircut.
When was he around? Can't remember him, really.
It was Rafa days. Paul says, I like how our kits just have the liver word on its own instead of the shields. Yeah, I have to say, and I like the Eternal Flames on the back of the neck as well. I think that's a nice touch, Connor.
Yeah, it looks really classy, isn't it? I love the way they added the bay as well, isn't it? Like, I'm not sure if it's on this year's kit, actually. It was on last year. It said something like, there's no noise, like the Anfield noise. Like that was inside the kit.
Definitely on last year's kit, yeah.
I haven't checked for this year's, actually. I like that kind of thing, though.
The Bad Elf says, remember the Brazilian goalkeeper Rogério Ceni who used to take penalties and free kicks? Wasn't there another one? There was another keeper who used to take penalties and free kicks, the Paraguayan keeper.
Oh, I remember him, yeah.
Well, you know what I'm going to say next, Connor. I can't remember his name. But I'm happy that I got the Paraguayan goalkeeper. I mean, that's pretty good. And do you know what? I don't actually want help on this one because I want to think of his name myself. Chilavert. That was his name.
Yeah, you're right. Let's go.
I'm so proud of myself. I actually got one right, guys, for a change.
Clap emojis in the chat.
Yeah, it's about time. Chilavert, I can't spell it. Skipper Dog, oh my god. If I ever need somebody to give me an answer on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire or something, buddy, I am ringing you. You are definitely my phone a friend.
I actually seen him earlier. He was asking about player name. Don't again want to go back to him. It was Ali Daya. He was on about lads who claimed he was George Weah's cousin.
Was it Southampton signed him or gave him a trial?
Yeah, he somehow convinced him that he was a cousin of George Weah, who was after winning Player of the Year that year or something. He was the Ballon d'Or winner, and he got a trial, and he just went on for 5 minutes, faked an injury, got paid for 3 weeks as a footballer, and then got sacked.
That's absolutely nuts.
I fucking love that story.
It's brilliant though. I love those type of stories. It's brilliant. Damo says, well, look, it wasn't all that long ago, to be fair. I mean, we're not talking about the 70s here. That was...
Yeah, but now with Google and all, you couldn't go out of it.
That's true. Well, you could kind of invent yourself in Football Manager or something and upload yourself to one of those games. Damo says El Hadj Diouf was hateful. I absolutely despise that prick.
It's fucking prick cunt, isn't he?
Oh, he is. Just even I spoke about Julian Brandt having an annoying face before, and I spoke about Mignolet really having an annoying head, but El Hadj Diouf was on another level. He just looked like a spitting cobra or something. I really dislike that lad.
Oh, he's just a dickhead all around, isn't he?
Skipper Dog says it was Souness that played him.
Jesus.
I'll never forget Souness running into the middle of the fucking... Was it the Galatasaray game of planting the flag? I don't know if it was Galatasaray against Besiktas, Galatasaray against Fenerbahce, whichever one of them it was, but somebody told him it would really endear the fans to him if he ran into the middle of the pitch and planted the Galatasaray flag in the centre circle. I mean, in Turkey, in the middle of Turkey. There's one country that are fanatical about their football, it's Turks.
Oh, I fucking love watching them. They're all crazy fuckers, aren't they?
They really are. Have you ever seen the Super Classico? The fans there, the River Plate Boca Juniors games.
Yeah, it's mad scenes, isn't it?
Absolutely crazy. Crazy. Ben says Stephen Calker. Remember that centre forward that we signed?
Oh yeah, quality QPR, wasn't he?
The only time and now look, I know he's had his issues since, which have been well highlighted, and we wish him well, obviously. But the only time Klopp used him, was as a forward, which is nuts.
I think he just brought him in just as in case we got a few injuries, but yeah. It's always funny seeing him come on for the last 2 minutes. We thrown up front.
Chris says worst ever signing was easily Atanji. Was his first name Charles? Charles Atanji. And Chris, was he the guy who was caught smiling?
Yeah, he said that further down the chat.
Oh, he did. Sorry, I didn't catch up with that. But look, I'm giving myself a pat on the back for that one. Ali Dyer played less than a half and got hooked. The White Warrior says,
an injury, I think.
Remember Nunes? Ah, yes, Antonio Nunes. Wasn't he part of the Michael Owen deal? I think we got 8.5 million. I think we got 8.5 million on Antonio Nunes from Michael Owen, and he was absolutely pants like. The amount of shite Real Madrid have actually had over the years, now that I think back.
John Mudgate.
Oh, we speak about some of our players milking us for a wage. Jonathan Woodgate was a whole another level of injury and sick note.
Did he get sent off in his first game for him?
Yep.
He got injured as well there or something.
Thomas Boland says, what about Razor's header against United? Put the goalie and the ball in the net. Wound up with a big lump on the forehead, but we got a draw. Do you remember actually James Milner's tweet after the Champions League semi-final away leg? Does anybody know how to get a tattoo of an Adidas logo removed from his head or something?
Oh, I fucking love James Milner.
Chris says, yeah, Tanji was sat laughing at the Hillsborough Memorial. Disrespectful prick. Paul Turner says Fenerbahce. Again, I think that was in regards to the whole incident with Souness. Moneen says, do you remember the FA Cup games where Risa broke Alan Smith's leg from a free kick?
When was that?
I remember Alan Smith breaking his leg. I definitely remember that, but I can't say I remember how it happened. Do you remember actually, speaking of broken legs, Cisse had a really badly broken leg. I think it was against Blackburn for Liverpool, and he credits the Liverpool medical staff with saving his actual leg. That's how bad that break was.
Jesus. I vaguely remember that. I don't remember too well.
Flatman says Nunes was meant to be the sweetener when we sold home to Real Madrid. It was more of a fuck you though, it seems, than a sweetener. Paul Turner says Traore. I think we had a couple of Traores over the years, haven't we? It wasn't just Jimmy. We had more Traores than that, I think. But I know he means Jimmy. He definitely does mean Jimmy Traore. Champions League winner, Jimmy Traore, I might add.
Yeah, he's a legend.
Ben has gone back to the real dark days here, the Emu era under Roy Hodgson. He's saying Milan Jovanovic. That was the window with Poulsen, Jovanovic and Joe Cole. That was one of them. Oh,
we all thought we were class getting those.
And the defender from Rangers as well that we brought in, the young lad. The centre back. You guys know the line. I can't remember his name at this point, but that image of those. It was Danny something. Actually, I think his name was. The image of those 4 players or 5 players. That's just the most depressing image. And there was one starting 11, Connor. Do you remember somebody put up before? And you look through it and you just think, Jesus, those were dark days.
Yeah, there's a few tweets going around with starting 11s. Fucking hell, like compare that to now.
Danny Wilson, there you go. Straight away, Joseph and the White Warrior in there, and Chris as well. Del Croft, everybody, bang, Danny Wilson. Yeah, he was again supposed to be a player who was highly regarded, and he's just turned out his career hasn't done very well at all. Joseph said he had 2 breaks, really bad luck. I think he's talking about Cisse. I actually got to meet Cisse. I think I've shown you guys before. I was lucky enough at a 5 Times show to get a little bit of time to have a chat with Cisse, Hamann, Vladimir Smitser and Luis Garcia. So yeah, that was one of the highlights of my life so far. I got about 20 minutes myself and Jonathan to have a chat with those guys. It was lovely. We actually got to get some stuff signed, Connor. I think we gave away a shirt.
Yeah, I remember you telling me that.
Yeah, it was.
Didn't know Cisse was there.
Yeah, Cisse.
I remember showing me the picture over him.
It was brilliant because Jonathan gave Cisse a picture to sign. It was a picture of Cisse scoring a goal. I think it was after maybe he scored his penalty in the Champions League final. And Cisse was on FaceTime with his daughter as Connor handed him the image. So Cisse then turned around and showed his daughter. And he spoke in French, but I'm imagining he said, look, there's daddy or something. And showed his daughter the picture before he signed it. It was a lovely moment.
That's crazy.
But I just made a beeline straight for Didi Hamann. I think I told you that before. Like Jonathan was chatting to everybody, and I was just like, get out of my way, let me get to Didi Hamann. Damo said, I thought Morientes was going to be great. Big disappointment. Yeah, I had really high hopes for Fernando Morientes as well. Quality player, like absolute quality player at both Monaco and Real Madrid. But yeah, it just didn't work out for him at Liverpool. It's a shame, because when we signed him, I thought he was going to be a great signing. Did you remember those days, Connor? Or was it a bit early for you?
No, I don't remember him. I've heard about him, like, but don't remember seeing him.
He's a really, really, really good footballer. What else we got? Woodgate scored an OG and got sent off on his debut for Madrid. Wow. That's a debut. That is a debut and a half right there. What else we got? I think we're going to head off in a few minutes, actually, guys, but just quickly going through a few more comments. RetroUnilim.com is Steve, by the way, Connor. We have to refer to him as Steve from now on.
Steve, okay.
Good evening, Steve, by the way. Thanks for joining us, mate. Again, anybody new in the chat, anyone just joining us, please do hit that subscribe button, give us a thumbs up. Yeah, it just helps us grow the channel, be part of the solution. Chris Burns says Friday Kippa was quite a poor signing. I don't remember that. And Philip Dagan, who I do remember, the Swiss right back.
Yeah, I remember him as well.
And another absolutely despicable signing. Yeah, really, really poor. Damo says best winger from Chile. Anyone. Oh, it was Chilean. He was supposed to be fucking shit hot. No doubt it's going to be in the chat here, so I'm just going to scroll down. Mark Gonzalez, there you are. Skipper Dog again, my lifeline, my fucking lifeline if I'm ever on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. Yeah, and Mark Gonzalez, he was supposed to be next level, and it just didn't work out for him at Liverpool. Steve says FEKIR Sunday's only nearly one day away. David and Gog, yeah, I mean, the new Thierry Henry or something stupid like that. At one point, I think he was, I know, a different type of player. He was. They're always compared to somebody, aren't they?
Yeah, for no reason whatsoever. He was alright for like a few games. Yeah, he kind of fell off it again, didn't he?
Steve says, do you really think that they filmed this interview for FEKIR without a deal in place?
It's just hard to know what to say about it, isn't it? It's just so crazy, and like there's nothing like this happened before.
It is mad. I mean, how close must it have been for that to have happened?
Or how close is it still?
Yeah, it's a fair point, and I think I've told the guys on here, I think it gets done. What's your gut feeling on it, Connor?
I hope it gets done, but I'm not holding out hope, because I know it'll just have my heart broken again.
Nathan says, see how you're saying you have high hopes for the player and hope he's a good footballer. What happens if FEKIR turns out poor? Yeah, it's a gamble you take, I suppose, signing any footballer. I mean, there's nothing to say that Nabil FEKIR comes in and his knee just doesn't give up, Connor. And then we're all saying, why do we sign him? The club should have known better. But I think where we are at times, we have to try and be that little bit more clever in the transfer market than other clubs that might have bigger finances than us. And the likes of Nabil FEKIR and taking that risk might sometimes be a necessity for Jurgen Klopp and the team to bring us on to the next level.
Yeah, you just, like, I suppose you kind of have to trust medical staff on, wouldn't you? Like 50 or 60 million, it's a lot to spend on a player. Like, you have to just calculate the risk, and if it does turn out to be nothing and we don't sign him, it just obviously was just too much of a risk at the time. So it's really hard to judge what we should do or what we will think of it in 3 years' time, whether he does sign or not. Like,
I think, again, another important question here will be, if the medical staff say, look, you're going to get maybe 3 years before he needs to have that ACL tended to again. You might get 25 games a season out of him. He's going to need to be rested, or he's going to need a rehabilitation program, and he's going to need time off from training and stuff like that. That might influence the decision as well, and it might be why the club are saying, well, look, we have to take a chance on him. Can we only use him for this amount of games a season? Who else can we bring in to fill in those gaps? I mean, it can be an underwriting issue from an insurance point of view. There are so many reasons why this is complicated, Connor.
Yeah, I don't really know what to say anymore, to be honest. Like,
You can't wait for
Talk about
FEKIR
enough of this, by
Sunday
the way.
though.
Yeah.
Paul says Bruno Shearu, the new Zinedine Zidane. I remember him. His brother, I think, actually is. I don't know if he's playing in the MLS or if he's still floating around. But yeah, Bruno Shearu was definitely supposed to be the new Zinedine Zidane. Joseph says Anthony Latalak was the next Henri. The Bad Elf says Cinnamon Pongol, the new who knows. Look, Pongol holds a place in my heart because he was very instrumental to that comeback against Olympiacos. When he came on with, I don't know, I think it was 20 minutes to go or something. Yeah, he really helped turn the game around. So I have a soft spot for Florence Cinnamon Pongol. Thomas.
No, it's a big household name, like legend like him.
Thomas Boland says Ngog scored against United. That's enough for me. Steve says they've done it as the 1st of July. He won't be here to avail of the interview, hence why it was done prior. Again, a good point.
I hope he's right.
But I just still don't understand why we held off. Aulas wouldn't be still shiting about it. Surely, if the deal was
this whole thing of the stock market and shit, like.
But even if it was, I've said this on streams before. If it was because of the annual fine or the annual fucking money or whatever it is, why not announce the deal like we've done with so many other deals before and just say it comes into effect on the 1st of July? It happened with Fabinho. It's happened with Naby Keita. It seems to be a time when footballers' contracts change over, so there's nothing to stop them announcing the deal but the financial aspect of it not going through till July 1st.
I think it's something to do with the stock market, wasn't it? Because, like, if they're seen to be selling their best asset at a certain point, then it affects their stock price or something, isn't it? Something with that.
But that's going to happen anyway, and we already heard them saying that whole stock issue thing was supposed to come into effect sometime in June. I mean, it keeps being moved. Now it's July 1st, but somebody else said their financial year was up, I think it was the middle or the start of June or something.
I think it's all wishful thinking at this point.
I think it's a lot of us just clutching at a lot of straws.
Yeah, pretty much.
Joseph says we should have a shitload of money from Phil and the Champions League run, and yeah, we should absolutely. Like let's not forget we have signed Fabinho, and I'm not exactly sure which season the Keita money's coming from or how that's been budgeted for, but there should definitely be a good chunk of change there, Connor, for signings.
Yeah, did we get like 90 million for the Champions League run and then the 140 for Coutinho as well?
Plus,
so even if you take into account the Fabinho, Keita and Van Dijk, still be some money there, like.
And that's without even taking into account the Premier League money, the television money and stuff like that. I mean,
that's a lot of money, like.
There has to be a nice chunk of change there. I'm interested though to see if the club give new contracts to Sadio Mane and Mo Salah because they deserve them. They deserve an improved deal.
I think they are. I think the club is planning on getting the two of them deals similar to what Bobby signed.
Like I'm still convinced that that's why there was Mane links to Real Madrid. I still think it was his agent just kind of reminding the club to say, look, my player deserves a new deal.
Yeah, sign him up quick or we're fucking off kind of thing. It's a empty tray, I suppose.
Skipper Dog says Diao was the new Vieira. Paul Turner says Nick Tanner, and I don't think you'd remember him, Connor, although you might know him from Twitter.
I've heard the name, can't think who he is.
He's an ex-Liverpool player, but he wouldn't have been a highly known Liverpool player. Like, he wouldn't have been that big of a household name, but you know, he's a Liverpool player nonetheless. The White Warrior says we should bring back Mike Hooper, lads. Great goalkeeper. Joseph doesn't think FEKIR is happening, and that's why the Madrid lad, i.e. Asensio, is getting linked. Steve says Umtiti signed July 1st, 2016 from Lyon. Lacazette the 3rd of July 2017 from Lyon. Notice a trend. Again,
could be on something.
Could be. I mean, as I said, I'm just guessing here, Steve, as well, but I just don't understand how they would have sent FEKIR off to the World Cup getting hounded with questions. It's surely going to affect him and piss him off.
Maybe he's just a massive attention seeker.
He seems to be getting annoyed by it though. It seems to be pissing him off at this point, getting asked about it.
I think he's just a prick. He just loves attention.
I don't get it. I mean, I hope to God Steve is right, and I hope that is the issue, and I hope July 1st comes and boom, there's there's Nabil Fekir, and we're all delighted, and we're all on here on Sunday having the happiest stream we've had in a long time, and we can all start ordering the Fekir 10 shirts.
Sounds good to me. Hopefully it happens.
The Bad Elf says, Neil Mellor is a Stephen Gerrard clone that went wrong. They do look very similar. David Chan says, Fekir is possible, question mark. It certainly seems that way, David. I mean, reading between the lines, as we've called this show, but going between the lines of what journalists are saying and trying to, I suppose, decipher the bullshit that's coming out of Aulas's mouth. It doesn't look like the deal is dead to us. It just looks like possibly either, as Steve said, and I don't believe this point, but Steve has made some good points on it in regards to Lacazette being signed and Umtiti, but he reckons it could be because of the stock market and their financial year. I reckon that Liverpool are trying to renegotiate over the knee, but none of us know, and that's the beauty or the annoyance of all of this, Connor.
Yeah, it's always guesswork, really, isn't it? Just going to have to wait and see what happens.
Tom says 41 days remaining before the 9th of August and the last 16 of the World Cup to get through. Realistically, how much income and transfer business can we get done, Craig? I'm expecting 3 or 4 more, Connor, I would say is realistic.
Yeah, if you did like Fekir or a replacement along with Shaqiri, probably a new goalkeeper and maybe another backup centre back.
Yeah, that's pretty much where my head is as well.
It seems a lot though.
I may have expected to see some outgoings start already though, to be fair. Look, I know Mignolet isn't he at the World Cup carrying water bottles for Courtois or something, but I think we'll see Danny Ings perhaps trying to get his move sorted soon. And you know, fair play to him, but I think we need to get some players out as well. It's not just all about bringing players in. The club need to be looking at freeing up some wages.
Yeah, there's a lot of money going out to players just sitting on the bench, need to move on. Even Sturridge, I say, is probably the main one. What's
120 to 150, I think, at a best guess, something for the Sturridge wages.
Something ridiculous,
which is in and around 7.5 million quid a year, which is not to be sneezed at. Thomas Boland says Jan Kronkamp, PSV, I think he signed from, if I remember correctly. David Thompson, left midfielder. Skipper Dog says he reckons three signings. Give us some positions, Skipper Dog, mate. What positions do you think we're going to get over the line? Not what we need, but what you think will get done before the window says. The White Warrior says 4. Steve says he's gutted we didn't sign Fellaini. Said no, whatever.
I really wanted him, yeah. Class player, like.
No, he said gutted we never signed Fellaini. Said no, whatever. I'd say you could really translate the gutted we signed Fellaini, say United fans.
Weren't Arsenal linked with him for a while?
Maybe, I don't know. I mean,
I think they were getting him on a free.
I mean, that seems to be their MO, doesn't it? Doing cheap business at the minute. Steve says swap Ings for Shaqiri. There's no way Danny Ings is going to a relegated Stoke City.
Yeah, he's too good for that, isn't he?
Oh, he is. He's definitely Premier League quality. I mean,
I'd love to see him with Newcastle or West Ham or something like that.
Newcastle will be a great shout as well. Bournemouth, Southampton, he'd probably even too good for them.
He just seems a Newcastle player. I don't know why. I can just picture him in Newcastle again.
He'd be good. Maybe back to Burnley. We said this before. His wages might be an issue for Burnley. I think they've got the lowest budget in the Premier League. But, I mean, you know, he knows Sean Dyche. Sean Dyche knows what Danny Ings is about.
Yeah, it could happen.
Flatman said he's calling it a night, lads. Great show as always. And before you go, boys, hit the like and subscribe button. Absolutely. And thank you, guys. You know what, Connor? We may call it a night as well, but we've been on 2 hours and 8 minutes so far.
Jesus.
It flies by, doesn't it?
It really does.
And as Connor, we said earlier on, look, the Patreon links and the Ko-fi links are in the stream. Is it the stream information or somewhere? And look, it's not something that we're about, but if you did want to buy the lads a cup of coffee or set up some type of subscription, right, and they are there, but we're not pushing them. Just have to say, because we were asked about it last night. White Warrior says good night. Cameron says Newcastle or Burnley or Leeds. And he says those teams are best for Ings. You know, Leeds is an interesting thing just before we go, Connor. Really, really good manager. Nutcase that they're after bringing in there, but a really good manager.
Who did they bring in again? With Bielsa.
Yeah, Marco Bielsa.
Yeah. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see what they got on.
I think he's managed Chile. Has he managed Argentina at the national side? He managed Marseille. He's a really, really good manager who's known for playing really good football.
Yeah, there's a lot of top managers have kind of based their work off of him, haven't they?
Yeah, they have. They certainly have. Khalil says, I'm late, what did I miss? I suppose I can give you a quick synopsis, buddy, before we head off. So the news on FEKIR that we were speaking about was actually kind of, you read up on that FEKIR news, so you can fill Khalil in there.
With Jonathan Johnson from Sky Sports, and he's also the Ligue 1 and PSG correspondent for ESPN, said that FEKIR is still very likely to be done, pretty much, and he seems to be fairly reliable, so it could happen.
And also, from reading between the lines to what James Pearce said in an interview earlier on, he seems to think that maybe Liverpool are just trying to renegotiate the fee or the structure of the fee for FEKIR. And then the goalkeeper issue that we put in the headline as well. I think it was Betway. Betway, one of the Betway guys that wrote an article for them or something, seemed to think that Courtois is going to Real Madrid and that Chelsea are now favourites with them on their odds to sign ALISSON. So again, not great news, but just passing on what we've read and seen. Look, for myself, on behalf of myself and Connor, thank you to everybody that's joined in tonight. If you're watching the stream on playback later on, thank you. We hope you enjoyed it. Do hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. Help us grow the channel. If you're in chat rooms, forums, let people know about Anfield Agenda on YouTube. Let them know about our podcast. As I said, Connor, great news during the week. Our podcasts are now on Spotify.
Yeah, it's brilliant. They're on there now.
It's I mean, it was a big deal for us to get our podcast on Spotify, along with being on iTunes, Connor. And look, we are on Podbean, Castbox, Acast, lots of other apps. But getting on Spotify and getting on iTunes, it just makes you feel more established, doesn't it?
It does kind of, yeah. It's really cool. It's like such like big brands and so popular, like.
And I must point out as well, we don't get any of the Spotify subscriptions, by the way. They don't.
Shit, we not get a quote out of that.
No, we don't get a penny.
Fuck's sake.
Yeah, it's just a privilege to be on there, I suppose.
Being
it's
wrong.
Nice. I mean, it took a few months to get us on there. I've been trying for a while.
Yeah, there was a few months of back and forth, wasn't there?
There was, but look, we're on there now. We're on here as well, which is the most important thing. And night after night, you guys come on to support us, so thank you. Look, we will say goodnight here. I see a lot of you saying goodnight in the chat. Khalil and David say thanks for the updates. Our pleasure, guys. Thank you for tuning in. And yeah, just lots of nice words. So thank you, guys. And as always, we finish up by saying up the Reds.
Up Reds.